Ina fresi. Kini mas tak kilo gina soku. Tani mas tak kalungi corazono. Ni mas figo na ni nasinyahu. Hu fresen mais setsu. Para bao protehi. Zahu defendi. Ihinengi. I cultura. I linguahi. I airi. I hanum zanitano CHamoru. Ni ren shaku diretu girina zu ustata. Estiu fit magi hilue Biblia. Zani banderahu. I banderengwahon. Viva CHamoru.
Thank you, Cesar Masi, Commissioner Santos. Okay, the time is 1:12, and I call this meeting to order, the regular meeting for the CHamoru Land Trust Commission. All right, public notices went out for this meeting at the Guam Daily Post on June 10, 2021, and June 15, 2021. Notifications was also on our CHamoru Land Trust website at dlm.guam.gov, as well as the Government of Guam public notice portal at notices.guam.gov, as well as our Facebook page, CHamoru Land Trust Commission. We are also live streaming on the CHamoru Land Trust Commission Facebook page, and audio and video is being recorded, provided by KGTF PBS. All right, I'll begin calling to order. Roll call. Commissioner Bergalio.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Santos.
Stigito.
Thank you. Commissioner Duenas. Commissioner Duenas is not present today. Attorney Top.
Present.
Thank you, sir. And Acting Administrative Director, Angela Camacho.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Attorney Top, just to confirm we have quorum.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, sir. Okay, first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Today's approval, we have the April 29, 2021 meeting, as well as the May 20, 2021 meeting. All right, and we'll give the commissioners a few minutes if there's any questions or any changes to identify.
Correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergali. May I get a second?
I second. I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Santos. Any objections? Okay, no objections. Motion passes to accept the April 29, 2021 meeting minutes subject to correction. Thank you, Commissioners.
For the May 20, 2021 meeting minutes, I just have a question for Tina. For the legal counsel and Toff's name, after the colon, right, there is a S there. Is that for a specific reason?
Can you tell me what page?
I'm looking at it, and so far it's every time Nick Toff spoke. So at his name, it's legal counsel N. Toft, semicolon, and then there's that little S.
Oh, okay. I'll look at it.
Okay, cool. So, all right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tim.
I believe that's across the entire document.
Oh, okay,
Ms.
okay,
Tina.
yes, I see it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the May 20, 2021 meeting minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Santos. May I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergalio. Any objections? Okay, no objections. Motion passes for the approval of the May 20, 2021 meeting minutes, subject to correction. Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have Ms. Lydia Talu to give us an update on our null and voids. Ms. Talu? Just make sure the mic's on as well, please.
Testing. Hello?
There you go.
Okay. Okay. So as of yesterday, June 16th, the null and void case numbers have not changed because no new cases were brought before. So we still remain at 17 adjudicated, 87 remaining to be adjudicated, a total of 104 cases.
Thank you. And then can you run down the list that you have here?
Okay, so then, remember we talked about application stages that we're reviewing those files? So I have reviewed total number of files that were reviewed, that were found correctly were 10. 14 need to be reverted in that the Public Law 23-038, Section 5.8 was incorrectly applied. Okay, there are 3 cases that most possibly will have to go before the board for approval. And then in reviewing those cases, one of them is actually not under section 5.8, but there is a lease, so it would be a 9.1. One was correctly applied, one was incorrectly applied. Total number of reviewed cases is 40. Okay, making the number of application files as of yesterday reviewed 69.
Thank you, Ms. Talu. So the 69 is an increase from the last
Yes.
meeting, right?
Yes, because at the last one I had reviewed 40, so between that time and as of yesterday, 29 were reviewed.
Awesome. Cool, thank you. Commissioners, any questions on this update?
Mr. Liu, what's the 9.1 section stated?
That is the
Cited.
transfer of lease upon the death of the original lessee or applicant. Because 5.8 is when the applicant dies and you transfer just the application rights. There's no lease has been issued.
I know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, commissioners? Okay, no questions. Thank you, Ms. Liu. I don't have any questions.
Okay,
Thank
see you next meeting.
Okay, up next on the agenda, we have some new business. We have the constituent matters. We have 6 today. We are going to go through, as requested by the land agents, to begin with, give me 1 second, commissioners. Okay, first up in our constituent matters is a residential for Miss Annie Cruz Seguenza. Miss Eileen, the first 2. Miss Eileen, can you hear me? Miss Eileen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, worries.
Okay, the next person up is Annie Seguenza, and Tina will be presenting that.
Yes, yes. So Miss Eileen, the first 2 will be just as requested by the land agent, Miss Seguenza, and then we'll go to Donna Quezon. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good afternoon and welcome, Ms. Seguenza. For the record, could you just please speak into the mic and state your name?
My name is Annie C. Seguenza from 470 Clifford Street in Chicago. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for your presence, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Tina?
One moment, let me just borrow this.
Good day, Commissioners. I'm Tina Tanatongo, Land Agent for CHamoru Land Trust. And today we have Ms. Annie Seguenza And I'm just going to go down straight from the facts all the way to the end of the staff report. Could you guys hear me?
Just
Yeah.
give a little-
So you speak in the mic for those that are on the.
Okay.
little louder.
So, and I'm going to start off with the facts. Her application type is residential. The original lessee is Ana C. Seguenza, which is Miss Annie Seguenza's mother who is deceased. The named successor is Miss Annie Seguenza, who's here today. Priority 1, location is lot 3443, Chalampago. The lot size, 1/2 acre, and it's for a residential lease. The lease date was dated on November 26, 2002. She says CLTC awarded a lease on a private property. That's the complaint and the issue. She is a preoccupier under land use permit 37 under Jose S.A. Seguenza and Ana C. Seguenza, who are her deceased parents. So down to the chronological facts. March 28, 1956, a deed of conveyance of real property between the government of Guam and Guadalupe Rosario Blas. The property was intended to build a school. March 30, 1956, a deed of conveyance was done and prepared. It was filed with DLM under document number 30916. Sorry, can I just take this off? On September 9, 1960, application to acquire interest in lands held by the government approved and was assigned a land use permit, LUP numbered 37 under Jose S.A. Seguenza and Ana C. Seguenza for 1 hectare, which is 2.471 acres, and placed in Haliki Municipality of Sinajana, now known as Chalampago. September 29, 1960, a letter from Jose S.A. Seguenza requesting permission to erect a building on the property. September 30, 1960, approval to construct a temporary building subject to the conditions stated in Mr. Seguenza's letter that the premises must at all times be in conformity with health and sanitation laws and/or set rules and regulations pertaining thereto. November 1964, document number 58229, a warranty deed from Guadalupe Rosario Blas to Florenzo T. Ramirez for the subject lot. September 24, 2002, Chalampago Mayor's verification in the file indicating both Annie C. Seguenza and Ana C. Seguenza residing on the property since January 1, 1961. September 25th, 2002, CLTC residential interview report indicates clients presently occupying and has been since January 1, 1961. B, beneficiary designation, Jerry Seguenza, which is the son, who is Miss Seguenza here today, her brother. November 18, 2002, CLTC conducted a site inspection. Inspection report indicates under land use observations, A, ranching, B, poultry activity, C, farming, ornamental, citrus, mangoes, and peppers. Structure, semi-concrete, E, with full utility services. November 26, 2002, CLTC residential lease issued to Ana C. Seguenza for a portion of lot 3443 Chalampago, containing an area of not more than 1/2 acre. June 26, 2003, request to add daughter Annie C. Seguenza as an additional beneficiary approved by Director Joseph M. Borja. January 20, 2004, a letter from Jerry Seguenza, the original designated beneficiary, requesting to turn over beneficiary rights to his sister Annie C. Seguenza, daughter of Ana C. Seguenza. October 29, 2013. Letter from the law office of Rachel Taimanao Dudu addressed to CLTC regarding the beneficiary assumption of lease. April 29, 2014, response from DLM Deputy Director David Camacho to the Law Office of Rachel Taimanao Zuzu indicating the request to transfer the lease to Annie Seguenza as a designated beneficiary is pending a completed CL2C application. And DLM found that the property Annie Seguenza is currently occupying is on private property. DLM further discussed in a recent meeting sometime in 2014 and was agreed that DLM would be settling a claim to the property and preparing a land registration survey map of the property for further processing with the courts through the land registration process. May 2nd, 2014, complete CLTC application under Annie Seguenza submitted to CLTC. October 20, 2014, site inspection conducted. Inspection report indicates on comment section, 15% of the half-acre property is usable, 85% is not to be developed due to the topography of the property. February 7, 2019, Ms. Annie Seguenza appeared before CLTC board as a public commenter, explained she has come into CLTC several times requesting assistance regarding the request transferring to the lease of her name. So she can move forward with transferring utilities to her that are still under the name of her deceased parents. CLTC chairwoman requested to be placed on the following meeting and for the staff to do more research. February 15, 2019, site inspection conducted. Inspection report indicates concrete foundation, wood, and tin everywhere else. The area is well maintained. April 18, 2019, Ms. Annie Seguenza appears before CLTC board as requested. Legal counsel and the commission suggested she can do an adverse possession or remain on the property until the original private landowners give her a problem. CLTC board advised CLTC to issue utility authorizations for Ms. Seguenza to get UTs transferred to her name. GWA continues to deny Ms. Seguenza the transfer of utilities to her name until CLTC can provide a lease under Ms. Seguenza's name. January 25th, 2021, inspection on lot 5402 R5 new-14-3, Mingilao. Potential lot for relocation includes accessibility for infrastructure. I just want to note that that is just a potential lot. March 25, 2021, lot showing with Annie C. Seguenza for lot 5402 R5 new-14-3, Manila, Guam. And Ms. Seguenza was shown the lot, but again, it's just a potential lot. April 2, 2021, site inspection conducted with CLTC engineering technicians, Pierce Castro and Melvin Javier. May 12, 2021, CLTC engineering technicians did GPS the plot, the portion of L3443-R1 where Annie Seguenza is currently occupying. And based on the plot shown on the map, Annie Seguenza is settling on private lands. May 12, 2021, further research was done and discovered that a grant deed between Bank of Guam as the grantor to Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation as the grantee for lot number 3443 R1 was recorded with Department of Land Management instrument number 744261. My findings are based on Public Law 23-38, Section 6.4, A, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 5, subsections 5.4 through 5.10, the Commission shall not serve eviction notices to individuals who presently reside and have continuously reside on CHamoru homelands prior to July 12, 1995, and who qualify under the Act. B, persons presently holding land use permits and who qualify under Section 5.2 will hereby maintain their home or farms adhering to all other requirements of the Act and these rules and regulations. 121 GCA Real Property, Chapter 17 Relocation Assistance Act. 2, Federal Relocation Act guidelines. 3, unable to survey due to unregistered private property. My summary of this whole report is, in the 1950s, the government did a land exchange between the government and private property owners known as the Blas family on lot 3443 Chalampago. In 1960, the Siguenza family was placed on that property by the government under the Arendu program, again, LUP number 37, in 1964. The Blas family sold the property to the Ramirez family. Today, the Siguenza family is still occupying on the property. Ms. Siguenza has come into CLTC numerous times requesting assistance regarding her assuming her mother's lease as the named successor. She continues to ask for UT authorizations regularly for GWA, who continues to deny her due to CLTC not transferring the lease to her. My request here today from the Commission is for CLTC to relocate Annie Siguenza from lot 3443-R1, Chalampago. Again, just to the potential lot, there is another lot that I am looking into. I just haven't shown it to Ms. Siguenza. But this is the lot here that she has seen, so that's what's on my report. To lot 5402, R5 new-14-3. Manilao CLTC to move forward with all necessary steps under 21 GCA, Chapter 17 Relocation Assistance Act, and the Federal Relocation Act guidelines to include working with other agencies such as Department of Land Management, Department of Public Works, Guam Water Works, Guam Power Authority, appraisal companies, survey companies, GURA, various construction and moving companies. I understand today that, I just want to know that, want the Commission to know that our goal here today is to get this approved for the process. I don't expect it to be a slam dunk all within today's meeting. And Ms. Siguenza is also aware that we will have to come back probably a few more times, but the goal here is to at least get the process approved so we can move forward with relocating her to a different lot and out of the private property lot.
All right, Commissioners, I'll yield to you to begin your questions.
That is definitely a lot to take in, and right. But I mean, ultimately, she was placed on private property by the government. You know. I had on May 12, 2021. That's when we figure out we squared away all that information. See, was that the date that, or are you just noting this that there's a Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corp? What is that?
It's a grant
Deed?
deed, and I have it here. And this grant deed was done on the 27th of September, 2006. But it is, and it states right here that it's for lot number 3443, R1, Ordet Chalampago, formerly known as Sinihanya. So, I apologize, she has a very thick file.
Well, I guess what I wanted to know is, so there's a grant deed between the bank and the Loan Mortgage Corporation for this property?
Yes.
Under who, do you know?
It doesn't specify who. From my understanding, and I did speak with records, what it could have been is that the original private owners or whoever was deeded to this property may have defaulted on their loan. And so the foreclosure process, from my understanding, went to federal loan mortgage,
Okay.
not necessarily the Bank of Guam.
Okay. So that this just means that it is not, I mean, this just solidifies that it's not within our inventory, pretty much.
Correct.
Right, okay. Thank you.
And just a quick question. So, in addition, right, so our survey team went out, did the GPS plots, identified it is private property.
Yes.
I guess going all the way back, how did it originally get with the Sequenza family? I guess is where, because at that point, when they were given, given the property, settled, and then coming through the process, how was it identified that this would be for the Sequenza family in this, through the whole process? Was it back in the 60s?
Correct, back in the 60s. So again, in 1956, the government did a land exchange.
Okay.
And in 1960, her family came in to apply for government lands, right? The Arrendo program. And it's a huge area. It's like a portion of, again, kind of like similar to all our other cases, it's a huge portion. And no survey was done. But it's private land, so they placed her on that portion. And then while she's there, I guess not knowing the Blas family, not knowing that Ms. Seguenza is there, sold the property to the Ramirez family. Kind of understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who is it recorded under land management today?
Do we know
Do
who
we know
it's
that?
recorded under? It's definitely not recorded under Department, CHamoru Land Trust,
Right.
that's for sure.
So we don't have a
It's-
name on who
It's actually and I have other maps here it indicates that the 3443 has been portioned out to different individuals, different private landowners.
Gotcha. But this particular one that we just, 3443-R1, we don't know necessarily who,
It's showing under the Ramirez.
just under, okay, so it's still under Ramirez this whole time since 19,
I think the basic does belong to Ramirez, but portions of it has been cut up and given out.
To
other people.
different-
But the remainder still belongs to Ramirez.
there's Ramirez now, okay, all right.
Well,
I have a drawing, if you guys want to see the drawing.
Sure.
Okay, this was the COTC lot, I guess that was supposed to be, or she was supposed to be placed on, but for some reason she was placed on this lot, 3442-R1, the private lot. And when we went out and did her as-built and everything, using the GPS, this is her area, these are concrete power poles and everything. Let me bring up the bigger image.
It was supposed to have been on that bottom.
Yes,
The 3473.
but I think what happened was, coming in from this road coming in, there's a drop on both sides of the road, so it's only enough for one car to pass through. So I guess she stopped, or they stopped and told her to build it because that was the only level spot.
It drops on both
Yeah.
sides. It's like a cliff. So she's like going up a cliff, and then behind her is a deeper cliff.
So where the property is today, you're like right on the hill.
Correct. She's like at the tip.
Okay. I guess my next question, Ms. Tina, is, or maybe Ms. Seguenza, right? So the proposed Manila property that Ms. Tina has indicated here, Have
Yeah.
you seen that, you went out to see that physically?
Yes, we did. We went out there, we met out there.
Okay. And is that something, again, going through the process, it may not be the actual lot, but is that something you're agreeable to?
Well,
I mean, given that at the end of the day, of course, you may not want to leave where you're at today,
exactly.
but given, given the circumstances that it's, still on, it's actually owned by private lands, right? So we'll do our best to try and accommodate that, but just out of the, visiting the property, is that something you would be open to?
Thinking about it's just because the distance is too far from where I originally from. And with my age already and my sickness and everything, it's kind of like too far out for me to drive. And so I just want something closer, if it's possible. If not, then I want to see the other one that she was talking about.
Okay, so there may be another option
Yes,
too, Ms. Tina?
there may be another option. It is, although I know she wants to go somewhere near, but it's down in Talafofo. It's actually one of our LFL properties. And the reason why I suggested Talafofo is because she has a daughter who lives in the area in Talafofo. So should something, God forbid, something happens to her, there's a close family member with her or, within the same village. And in regards to LFL, it's infrastructure ready. Because that would be a big deal if there's no infrastructure.
Right. But Manila is infrastructure ready too?
Yes.
Okay, both
Right.
would be.
Both areas, yes.
Okay.
What is LFL?
Land for the landless?
Land for the landless. That was the inventory that we acquired from the land for the landless.
Correct,
Right. Thank you.
correct.
Attorney Top. So this is pretty intense. Anything, I know this will be a process in and of itself, but, given what Ms. Tina's put forward, I mean, anything, that stands out that we could not do?
I don't think we can do anything with the existing law, the private law. So
Right.
I think we should just work with Ms. Alonso to find an acceptable law.
Okay.
I have a question. The lot M17, lot 3470, is that CHamoru land trust?
Which one?
One on this map.
In the bottom right. The
The one-
M17L3470,
Yeah.
is that Chamorro Land Trust property?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry. That's the area that she's originally supposed to be at. Where she was originally supposed to be placed. Her family was supposed to, under the LUP program, the Rendu program.
But that is,
But they placed her on 3443 instead.
so that,
Oh, yeah,
I was just gonna say, so is it our inventory?
it is.
Is what she has?
Is that under, yes.
Are there
Sorry.
any lots available now on this?
On that
Lot?
lot there, no, it's pretty, there's nothing, we haven't had anything planned or anything like that, so.
I think the problem with lot 3470, there's no easement to the property. So if you were to move her there, you don't know how they're gonna have the road.
And we think that may be the problem back in the day when,
On
her father was told to go to 3470, but there's really no access out to it, so, I mean, that road, that leads to her house is kind of like the only,
Access.
the closest road you can take to get to it, so.
Gotcha.
That's what I assume happened, so. It's very rugged, it's really a lot of valleys and.
So the terrain's not necessarily as conducive to
Right,
even
correct.
consider 3470, given where this private property is already anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Santos.
That's that area that's a little bit after, or when you come up to go to Leo Palace's turn. The one on the right side of the bus stop, is that in
You know
there?
when you come into Leo Palace, right, and then you take the first big dip with right when you enter and you, come from, Orda, you come in and you go down by the Longfit River.
Right.
Yeah, her lot is to the left of that, so
Oh.
it's very rugged
When you
and,
get
Right,
to the
right.
first bridge,
Yeah.
in the bottom, everything there's 3470 going up the hill.
Got it, okay. And there's nothing there.
yeah, it's really.
Makes sense. Okay. Good question, China. Okay, so Ms. Tina, so what would be the first thing that we need to get done to begin this process? Now, actually, let me just real quick to Ms. Seguenza. So given that we may have two options, and of course, at the end of the day, and you probably don't want to move, but you know, we want to kind of correct this, especially because it is private property. You know, Ms. Tina will work very closely with you to make sure that it is, you know, something that you can work with. But ultimately, I want to make sure that, you know, you'll be okay as we go through this process. You may have to come in a couple of times, and I have, you know, obviously we've seen your history, unfortunately, and having to deal with this. And our goal is to get this rectified, right, as quickly as we can, but just making sure we cross our T's and dot our I's.
Understood.
So I just want to make sure that, you know, you're comfortable with that, and it may be a little longer than, you know, but we'll do our best to, you know, work with you alongside with Ms. Tina.
Well, you know, honestly, I've been coming into the land trust and there's actually no help at all till she came along, and this is when things were processing. So I'm really thankful for what she's doing. Yes.
Definitely. We'll do our best to get this through for you. Okay, so Ms. Tina, I'll turn it to you, and then we'll
Okay.
have the
So-
commissioners. Do you have any questions for us, Ms. Seguenza?
She, for the record, she was just asking me if she should bring up about her taxes. I told her to have me see it because we did check the tax roll, the previous supervisor, Matt Leon Guerrero, and her name is not listed, neither is her father or her mother. However, she does have an agriculture lease. And again, with that agriculture lease, she's placed on the Chalampago baseball field.
Where it existed.
Yes,
okay.
and so I asked her to see it because that may be the property that she's getting taxed for,
Okay.
and not this property, yes.
Because it's not under your name, right?
It is.
It is, but
According
it's
to
not.
my brother, he saw my name when he went to pay for his land tax. He saw my name and I said, for what? I don't even have a land, I'm gonna pay a tax?
So,
No,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
But-
Ms. Tina, will you?
Yes, I will
those-
assist her
those
with that.
research?
So she has two CHamoru, well, one, the residential hasn't been transferred to her name as the successor. But she has an agriculture lease, and that agriculture lease also in Chalampago, she was placed on the baseball field. So she's, you know, both ways, she's not placed on the right. We have to relocate her. Yes, but I did explain to her, I said the priority is your residential because that's where you're living at. And then we'll work on her agriculture after we get over this part.
I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, because you know, with waterworks, there's always sometimes a problem, and I ask question, and they will not entertain me because the bill is not under my dad's name. I mean, it's not under my name, and I said, but I've came in here a couple of times already, and I got a letter from the land trust that I can transfer my name to the water. Well, it's not it's not what we wanted it because you don't have a lease. I go, well, what do you want me to do? I mean, if you can dig the grave and ask my dad, you know. And I tried to solve some problems with waterworks, but they still would not let me they will not entertain me because of that matter.
Yeah.
So I have questions that I have to ask them, but I can't because.
And that's
Yeah.
part of this.
Okay. All right.
I think legal counsel, you should, since the name of the parents was the original, you know, first application, and she's the one now was taken over. CHamoru Land Trust should make a statement saying she is now the the one that succeeds in owning the, you know, the application and whatever.
I'm sorry, if I may, we've issued several authorizations indicating that Ms. Annie Seguenza is the one. However, because the lease is not under her name, GWA continues to reject her request.
I think this is where the two agencies have to work together and have an understanding.
So,
Yeah, because I don't understand, and that's what I was telling the lady that was helping me, said, I don't understand why I can't transfer my name. GPA did it with the letter that they gave me, and it's the same letter that I showed them. She goes, well, we're different from GPA. I said, oh my goodness, I don't know what else to do.
Next time, take it up with the general manager.
So Ms. Tina, let's see how we can bridge that a little bit more. You know, I'll take this as an action item with Ms. Angie, and we'll see what we can get.
Okay.
Okay. So what is going to be our first task here, Ms. Tina?
Our first task would definitely work with Department of Land Management and DPW. I'm sorry, let me just move back a little bit. Our first step would to find her a location between the two the one that she was already shown and the other one that we have in mind. And then let her go from there. Have her, if she agrees, have her acknowledge that she does agree to move to that property, and then move forward with, it'll be with Department of Land Management and DPW, and then Waterworks, and then just kind of like in the order as because we would also have to work with appraisal companies. I did, and it is in the file, I did request for schedule fees from different appraisal companies. We haven't done the appraisal yet, but I just wanted to get an idea of what their schedule fees would look like. And then also with construction companies, because we're going to have to assist in facilitating the move from Chalampago to wherever the location that she agrees to move to.
So
It will be a lengthy process.
yeah. So what do we need to do as a commission?
I would like for the commission to approve the process, at least approve the
begin the
process to
process?
begin, yes,
Okay.
to begin the process. And then, again, as I mentioned, I'll be bringing it back and forth as we get further into it to give an update and cost also. We're going to have to know about the cost because it is going to be CHamoru Land Trust to pay for these.
Foot the bill,
Yes.
per se. I do have a question. So would this initially have to be the lease, the name on the lease, would it already have to be changed to Annie Seguenza, Ms. Seguenza Reynolds?
I
Should we?
I wouldn't transfer it just yet because we don't know what property we're going to transfer
Okay.
it to, and we would do an addendum to the
Okay.
existing. Yes.
Okay, understood.
Attorney Top, from a motion standpoint or action for the commission, is it as simple as just approving to be in this process for Ms. Seguenza? All right. Okay, commissioners, any questions? I know this was, when I first was reviewing our packet, it was, thank you very much for making it very easy for us to kind of understand, right?
Yeah.
The chain of events and everything that's happened and what Ms. Seguenza's had to go through. So Ms. Seguenza, we'll do our best, along with Ms. Tina, to work through this with you. If you don't have to come in, and Ms. Tina will just need to report to us that, she'll make those accommodations, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Because
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then only the times when we need you to be present. Of course, at any point, you are welcome to be present.
Yes.
But Ms. Tina will be able to help steward your process through the commission. Okay. Okay, commissioners, any other questions?
None for me.
Before we end here, I would like to say thank you all for taking care of this matter.
Yeah, sorry you're going through this. I know that's unfortunate, very, very, very unfortunate you were
Brought
placed.
memories back from my mom,
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna help you through this, so
Thank you.
Thank
you for coming again.
So just take the action, just again, according to Attorney Top, we just need to make a motion to approve to begin this process, and then Tina can.
I make a motion to approve the process of, do we have to state the, like,
Just to move forward with the relocation process.
okay. I would like to make a motion to move forward with the relocation process for Annie Cruz Seguenza.
Thank you, Commissioner Santos, and thank you, Commissioner Bordalio. Any objections? Okay, no objections, the motion passes on the approval to begin the process of Ms. Annie Cruz Seguenza's relocation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you too, Tina, for your work.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
good day, everybody.
Have a look.
Okay, Ms. Eileen, next up, we have, Donna K. Santos. Good afternoon, Ms. Joanna. Good afternoon, Ms. Santos. Ms. Santos, for the record, could you just speak into the mic and state your name?
Santos Donna Kay.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Joanna. And thank you for your patience, ma'am. I know you were waiting for another bit.
Thank you for seeing me. Okay. Buenas and half a day, commissioners. Before you, we have Ms. Donna K. Santos. We would like to request for a relocation as well as a survey authorization on track 15344, block 7, lot 1, Manilao. Ms. Santos is a December 2nd, 1995 applicant. She is a residential applicant. She currently does have a lease, however, due to the area in Jigo, which is lot 7160, she is requesting for a relocation. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the chronological facts. On February 16, 2004, a residential lease was issued for a portion of lot 7160 for a half acre. August 13, 2018, Ms. Santos came into CHamoru Land Trust doing a follow-up regarding her lot issue within lot 7160 Jigo. September 24, 2018, Land Administrator Margarita Borja indicated on status information sheet that Ms. Santos wanted to relocate to a different area because of the survey issues she's having with the surveyor that she hired. June 18, 2019, a lot showing was conducted by land agent Lorraine Netadog on track 15344, block 7, lot 1, Manilao. Ms. Santos did approve the area and would like to process the request for relocation. December 6, 2019, land agent Lorraine Netadog advised Ms. Santos that her lot that was shown to her is being used by the adjacent lessees as they access the road. July 1, 2020, requested for a survey authorization for track 15344, block 7, lot 1, Manilao. However, this would be pending the board's approval for the relocation. October 22, 2020, Ms. Santos followed up with the status of the survey authorization. Land agent Ms. Lydia Tulu advised Ms. Santos that she will need to appear before the CHamoru Land Trust Board regarding her relocation request. Based on our land agent findings, Ms. Santos has been coming into CHamoru Land Trust regarding her survey issues between the years 2014 to 2018. The surveyor she hired did not fulfill his obligations. CLTC has assisted Ms. Santos in finding a different parcel within track 15344, block 7, lot 1, Manilao. The lot that is being awarded to Ms. Santos is currently being used as a bull cart trail by the adjacent lessees. Over the years, these lessees have been advised that the current easement is not open and that the trail they're using is a CHamoru Land Trust lot. However, due to financial restrictions, the trust does not have the funds for the clearing of the easements. Ms. Santos did advise our office that she is willing to assist in opening the easement for the adjacent lessees so that she can enjoy the lot CHamoru Land Trust has awarded her. So we will, you're pending the approval from the board, and then also approval for the survey to this Maguila property.
Yeah, it's, finally gets coming and, see my piece and everything.
Actually, Ms. Santos, you can begin, and then we can move to the commissioners for questions.
And I appreciate that you guys saw me today. I've been doing all these runarounds and everything, and I didn't know where else to go. So finally, someone told me that I have to see you guys. And other people are telling me that I just go ahead and clear. But I told them, I'd rather wait until I have it in black and white, because I don't want to have no problems or anything. I just put down my roots because I'm not getting older and I'm getting sick. And I was leave something behind for my grandkids, my kids. That's all I ask.
Thank you. Ms. Durano.
Yes, sir.
Just a question. In July, when the request for survey authorization for the Manila lot, right,
Yes.
pending the board approval for relocation,
Yes.
was that just a gap that we didn't have a commission meeting?
I
until
believe
December?
so, yes.
I believe so? Okay.
So she was just pending for the board to see her, and we were able to slot her in for this board meeting.
Okay. The commissioners, any questions?
She already looked at the property.
Yeah, she was shown the property by Miss Lorraine, but we did advise her that, the adjacent lessees who have been there for many years have actually been using that lot as their trail or their access to the lots behind. So Ms. Santos did advise Miss Lorraine that she is willing to assist in opening up the easement that is actually allocated for this area. And of course, with that, we'd still have to work with land management, I believe, and DPW, so that at least, the easement itself, the center line, would be, properly opened. So here we'd have to work with more so the Manila Mayor's Office, possibly. Don't know if they have the resources, but if they don't, then that's something that we need to see. But I'm not sure what resources Ms. Santos may have advised Ms. Lorraine in the opening of the easement, so we can further discuss it with her.
Okay. I just wanted to ask our survey team, so how many, in this lot, right, in Manila, how many people do we have living in that area? Do you know?
What was the tax number? I'm sorry, I didn't write that down.
This is the lot that was taken care of.
Okay.
This is the trail that we're using, going right down the middle of the lot. So this road, I believe, is not open back here.
Okay.
And these are the people that are staying over back here, that
So-
are using the trail that's going in between her.
So the lot that we've identified to relocate, Ms. Santos, straight down the middle to where they're using access to get to these other residents.
Yes. It's been used for many years,
Right.
But given that this lot is within our inventory, it is something that is, something that we can offer the constituents. So that was the proposed remedy that Ms. Santos did offer, that she would assist in opening of the easement.
Which is further up.
Yes.
Further back.
How is the neighborhood getting power into their place? Where do they?
So right up front, we actually have, I believe that's a GWA station, the small little square there. Yeah, pump station. So we don't actually have the layers that will show where the power lines are, or if there's actually services there from waterworks. But we can allocate that. I'm not sure if Mr. Mel has the layers of that, but yeah.
I believe they're running their power lines through this trail here. That is the only easement.
Where it goes through her property?
Yeah, right.
There's,
Kinda
there,
like to see
there
what,
is, there is a telephone pole, they put a temporary telephone pole there.
So there's a temporary
There's a
telephone,
pole,
power
right,
pole.
smack in the middle.
See, that's where the agency shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I think this was probably open during politics time.
Well,
I
politics
don't wanna say
hasn't
it,
stopped
just.
here.
There you go. Okay. And so,
Yeah, it's something that we more so have to work with the agencies if there are like illegal, maybe not, because the utility lines are actually supposed to be on the government easements. So this may be one of those examples where there is a temporary pole or more so, and maybe there is a water line there, but that's something that, you know, even with GWA and GPA, we have to update, you know, and so we work together to get their layers and see from there.
okay, yeah, so Ms. Santos, so you said you've seen it and there's a
Yes,
power,
I've seen it,
power pole.
their pole is right in, smack in the middle of the property at one, and their water line is straight smack right in the, and everything.
Okay.
That should change.
I mean, we're gonna have to, so, Ms. Joanna, we're gonna have to address that, right? Obviously,
Yes.
prior to any
Yes.
of this,
Yes.
relocation or, right? Okay, here,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Your house is in that, your house is, where's your house to that road that is coming through the property? Did you build already there?
No, I don't wanna touch it at all until I get it on black and white. I want
Okay.
it legalized.
Of course, so you have
Just-
not started anything, that's a
No.
good thing, right?
But it's just my boss
Right.
is just waiting for me to show him where the easement's at, and he'll just open a temporary road. But see, I'm just waiting, I have all this, people that's gonna help me clear it.
Good.
And, you know, I'm willing to open up that easement, but not, that's way they want it.
and I think the biggest problem here right now is just, again, understanding the power pole, right? And it being in, on that property, and even before we relocate you there, we gotta either move it to the right spot, or, again, not knowing what we know, or what we don't know, we'll have to address that, right?
Yes.
So, I'm gonna look to Ms. Angie to help steward that as well, right, from the GPA perspective, and we can work with Ms. Joanna. Okay, so, Ms. Joanna, what would, so obviously we need to prove first the relocation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then also, I mean, if the commission would like us to do another GPS to allocate where the lines may be, we can go ahead and do so on that. Because the layers that we do have, you know, it may not be up to date in regards for the GPA and GWA.
Right, and this is the same layers that we were talking about in putting it over our property.
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so should we take this, any action now, or should we table this until we kind of square all of this away?
I think
From a GPA GWA's perspective,
Okay.
but already knowing that this is the, lot that we will be relocating this on, correct?
Okay, yes, yes.
Should we do that?
Well-
Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. So Ms. Santos, what we're gonna do, let's give Ms. Joanna and Ms. Angie some time to square all of the details in regards to what's the infrastructure that's there and whether or not, you know, it's in the right spot. And then, once they figure all that out, and then we will progress in your relocation.
As for, as my lease, there, do I get from you guys, approval of the lease, just, you know, for my own, that it's my, that, you know, showing me that it does not, I can wait until, or you guys figure out all the
Yeah.
issues?
So, that's what I was,
So, okay, go
I
ahead.
have a question. It's an unrecorded lease, Attorney, it's an unrecorded lease on the lot, 7160 Eagle. So,
In this case, because Ms. Santos's lease, she does have a lease in file. It is unrecorded. So when we do move forward to the given lot, it will be an addendum. And more so, this will be utilized as an exhibit attached to the addendum.
So first thing is get it recorded?
Well, if she is if she is gonna relocate, right, we would just do the addendum, and then with that addendum attached with the lease that is in the file, it would be recorded. Yeah.
That satisfies.
Her lease is still valid,
Yeah,
you know?
So Ms. Santos, I was about to go there, so your lease is still valid.
Okay.
Give us some time to, square away some of this utilities, and making sure that the lot, will be ready, right? Or whatever we can do to get it to be ready. We need to figure out also the easement, right? And so there's a lot of moving parts in that.
Yes,
So
I
what we'll
understand.
do is we'll have Ms. Angie help steward that process, right? Our acting director with Ms. Joanna. And then we'll try as best as we can, to get some status updates in the next meeting. And Joanna will be the one to communicate with you and letting you know, the process every step of the way. Okay, so we're not gonna, so the commission, we won't take any action today. The key things is to square away, the utilities, what's there, and the easement. Okay? Any questions on that?
So there, and I'm not being due, it's by next year, I'll be waiting a little bit longer.
Hopefully we can, we can go out there next week just to a GPS or see if there is existing there. And then if there isn't any, then, you know, we can move forward and then bring it back to the board at the next meeting so that we can conclude it and approve so that we can move forward for Ms. Santos to survey the property and then you give her the addendum.
Okay, all right, so I can't give you a timeline right now,
Okay.
but let's have Ms. Joanna do her visit and square away some of that and keep you posted of what the next steps would be. Is that satisfactory to you, ma'am?
The thing about the surveyor that I had for I wanted empty. Okay, I already put a deposit down of it, do I still have to pay the 1,000 again? What happens to that? And I know he's passed, he said that he's ready. And I, you know,
I would defer that to Ms. Joanna to help you with that process.
I'll go back to Mr. Cruz and
Okay.
validate that. You know, we have, if there is a receipt in file, not too sure who your surveyor.
Yeah, during that time that I gave it to and he misplaced them on the road, moving everything.
Okay, so usually if there is no receipt of proof, then it's kind of like we don't have something to, yeah, so it'd be something that she may have to take in again. Hopefully, if this lot has, if there is an existing map to this area, then it would be something where the surveyor can do a retracement and just use an existing map. But if there is no map for the area, then it would be a survey from the start.
Okay. Okay, so if you could help Ms.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So Ms. Santos, Ms. Joanna will help you through that process. And then she will also keep you updated on the status of her visit by next week. Ms. Joanna, yes? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Yeah, I would like to know, is there a list of surveyors that the CHamoru Land Trust?
Yes, when there is a survey authorization issued out, there's a listing attached to it. However, we have been getting some constituents advising us because of the schedules of the surveyors have been busy. So, you know, we just advise the constituent that as long as they get in touch with a surveyor, the surveyor can at least say, okay, I'm gonna be able to do yours at the end of the year or something like that. But it gives them, you know, advisement that this is when we can do it. It's really out of our hands because it's something that they would have to go through the private surveyor. So we don't control how long it's gonna take or when they would do it. It's at the surveyor's discretion, yeah, at their schedule.
But there is a list.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we provided to our, okay. all right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Santos, any other questions for us?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for your presence.
And thank you
Thank you
for seeing me.
for your patience as well. Ms. Joanna will be in touch with you next week and keep you abreast along the process.
Please do. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Eileen?
The next case is Alfred Serraros, and Joanna will be presenting that case.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Joanna.
Um, so I will be presenting Mr. Alfred Lizama Gogui Serraos. This request is for a relocation in a survey authorization. However, based on the new findings, guidelines per Mr. Cruz, I would like to request to table this until we get the concrete guidelines in terms of the change of application type. Mr. Serraos was approved by the board last month for a change of application from agriculture to residential. But because Mr. Cruz did advise us of the guidelines, I'd like to go ahead and just wait until everything is concrete.
Okay. So, but the board did take action in the March 18 meeting, right?
Yes, so that request was for a relocation from an ag a change of application type from a agriculture to a residential due to the fact that his area was unregistered and his lot was being used as a bull cart trail to other individuals around him.
Okay. And did you inform Mrs. Strauss of this?
Yes,
that we won't be addressing this today.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and contact him. He is aware that we are bringing the case to the board. However, we were just advised today from the findings from Mr. Cruz. So I will let Mr. Alfred know before end of day that we will go ahead and table this until such time we get the guideline.
Got it. Okay. All right. No problem. We'll go ahead and table Mr. Alfred Strauss from today's meeting. Thank you, Ms. Joanna.
Thank you.
Ms. Eileen?
Presenting, I don't know if she's having problems. I'm trying to message her. She's having problems getting on.
here.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Go ahead. Asia Diaz. Okay, Jess, you can go ahead and present.
Okay, Happy Day Commissioners. I'm Dr. Day, land agent with our Land Trust Commission. And the case I have before you is Asia Francine Muffness Diaz. Present today is her POA.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. State your name for the record and the mic.
I'm Francis Diaz, and it's Aisha Diaz.
Aisha Diaz, and you're Francis.
Yes, her mother.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Davis.
So today, we're requesting for a survey authorization and a residential lease. Applicant's date and time is December 2nd, 1995 at 9:09 a.m. Application number 85. Application type residential, priority 1. She's not a pre-occupier, no land use permit, no marriage verification, notice of intent to award, there's none in file. There is a residential lease that was dated January 23rd, 1997, which was signed by Administrative Director Ronald Tehan. The location is track 9210, block 16, lot 10, phase 1 GGO, 4/4 acre. There's no survey authorization in file. However, there is a survey map, 126 FY93. The chronology is January 23rd, 1997. There was a lottery for lot 10, block 16, track 9210, phase 1 GGO. For the original applicant, Miss Irene Muffness. The residential lease was signed by AD Ronald Tehan, but was not signed by the original applicant. January 27, 1997, a residential interview sheet, two successors were designated, Asia Diaz and Jolene Muffness. On July 23rd, 2018, a letter from Jolene Muffness was received requesting to transfer her successor rights to Asia Francine Muffness Diaz. On August 8, 2018, a recorded POA for Asia Diaz was submitted. DLM instrument number 925364. On March 11, 2019, memo to file requesting successor claim to Irene Muffness's application lease rights, which was approved by Administrative Director Jack Hattick III. The supporting documents that were submitted was the death certificate of Irene Muffness, a notarized relinquishment letter from Jolene Muffness, and all qualifying documents for Asia Diaz, which is grandparents' birth certificate, mother's birth certificate, and Asia's birth certificate. February 5th, 2020, a letter to Department of Revenue and Taxation requesting to remove Irene Muffness from the tax roll, which was signed by Administrative Director Jack Hattick III. April 29, 2021, a lot was, okay, I apologize. I see that there's like a gap, and then there's gonna be confusion. So, because the lease was not signed by the original applicant, but was signed by the director and the governor, that I believe that lease is considered not valid. However, Miss Irene Muffness, the original applicant, was still placed on the tax roll for the lot 9210, track 9210. Okay, I apologize. But that is the reason why we're here today, is to try and validate the lease that the original applicant was issued. So on April 29, 2021, the Miss Frances Diaz came into the office, and we did identify a lot for issuance, which is track 3734, block 19, lot 7 in Inalahan. On May 5th, 2021, a site inspection was conducted to verify if the occupancy for that track 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Inalahan, just to show if there were, just to verify if there was any squatters. May 14, 2021, there was a decline of the municipality of award for track 9210, block 16, lot 10, phase 1 in Chico, and that was signed by Miss Frances Diaz, the attorney in fact. So my findings were a residential lease was signed by the director, but was not signed by the applicant. And the original applicant was assessed a property tax for track 9210, block 16, lot 10, GGO. However, we did find that there was another person who was issued a lease for that property, so therefore, that could be the reason why that lease was not signed. And my recommendation, because the original applicant is a December 2nd, 1995, and there was an intent to issue a lease on January 23rd, 1997, my recommendation is to approve a survey authorization for the new identified lot, track 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Alahan. And also to issue a residential lease for Miss Asia Francine Ms. Diaz. And yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Danny. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of questions here, so give us a minute.
Can they turn it on? Figure this out?
I mean, I do agree with her, with the direction of just approving the survey authorization at least on the new piece of land. Obviously, there was a mistake made where two people were assigned the same piece of land. There was a lease issuance, although not signed by the applicant, and I think we can just resolve all those loose ends with a simple transfer over to NLI.
So her application is still valid?
Yes.
But not the lease, correct? Or is the lease still valid given that it was signed by the director and the governor at the time?
Right, I mean, the validity of leases when not all signatures are there is kind of a gray area. It depends a lot on some of the other, what we call parole evidence stuff, but it's sort of outside the what's written on the paper, basically. Was there an agreement between the parties? Was there an oral contract here? So in this instance, I think that whether or not there was a valid original lease, that question can be resolved either way by the transfer.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I had a question, Ms. Francis.
Yes.
So what is the relationship of Aisha to Miss Irene Muffness, the deceased?
She's her niece. I'm Irene's sister,
Okay.
and Aisha is my daughter.
Your daughter. So it's the aunt of Aisha?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Got it. Okay. Just making sure that also is clarified. Okay. Ms. Dede, I have a question in regard, how about any issues on taxes on this one?
So they in 2019, Miss or 2018, no, it was 2019, Miss Diaz, Frances Diaz, found her sister's name on the delinquent listing, as well as they were receiving letters, I believe. We did we did issue a letter for rev and tax. However, they still placed her name is still placed on the listing. They haven't removed it.
Okay. Do you have any other questions? So maybe the follow-up question to that is, has any property taxes been paid on this one? Given that, of course, the original applicant's deceased and okay.
Well, I advised Miss Diaz to hold on and not to pay the taxes until we get guidance or bring this issue to the board. When I did contact Rev and Tax, there is no name on, I mean, no one was paying taxes for that property. And they did advise that the lessee come in and make the payment for the, or have them contact Rev and Tax.
Okay.
But with Miss Francis Diaz, I did advise her not to do anything yet until we figure out what, until we get guidance on this.
But ultimately, because if there's two people technically on one property, who's responsible for the taxes? Do we know?
It would be the person living there.
Well, I do, I'm really not sure on that. I would assume the one who signed the lease right in the beginning, the earliest date, or the first one to sign the lease. However, the original applicant did not sign the lease.
Right.
And that would probably be the reason why um, the other person was given that lease.
Okay. Now, have you visited tract 9210, block 16, lot 10 in Jigo? Is there anybody on
Yes.
that property?
I didn't go out there to verify the occupancy on it. I was just, when I did ask about the signing, the lease, the director signed it, but the lessee didn't, or the applicant didn't sign it. They just told me it wasn't valid and the lease wouldn't belong to that person. Wouldn't belong to Miss Irene Muffness because it's not valid lease. So that property, um, the guidance that I recently got was to just have them decline the property. That description, property description.
The Jigo one.
Yes. It wasn't really clear on how leases were awarded in 1997. I was asking questions because on the form it does say that it was like a lottery. They pulled that number, or they pulled that property description, or that property, and I wasn't quite. I didn't really get clear answers on that, on how leases were awarded for those subdivisions.
Was the lot 10, block 16, tract 9210, was it documented with land management?
I didn't really hear.
So, go ahead.
Was it recorded?
Not Miss Irene Muffness's lease. No, it's not recorded.
But was this tract, so to follow up to Commissioner Verdalio, lot 10, block 16, tract 9210 in Jigo, is that registered property? Is that registered?
That's the subdivision 9210. When I did the research on the property, it is recorded.
Okay. Okay, I don't know if you have any other questions, Commissioner Santos or Verdalio? No? Okay.
The May 14, 2021, why was there a decline on Ms. Diaz?
I cannot hear her. Sorry.
On your chronology, May 14, 2021, a decline of municipality of award signed by Francis M. Diaz, attorney in fact.
Yes.
What's the meaning of this?
Oh, because the lot on that lot was offered to her, offered to the original applicant. So in order to move forward, right, she had to decline that.
This is on lot at the tract 9210, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I think we can go ahead.
Yeah. Commissioner Santos? Okay. All right, so Ms. Dede, to confirm, the action or the task at hand for the board, for the commissioners is to approve survey authorization as well as to approve a residential lease for Ms. Aisha Francine Mofnes Diaz. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then just to be clear, there's no conditions in regards to the property taxes, or should we add that as a condition to help get that sorted?
I believe a letter. How we did issue a letter already, but we can just do one, I guess, coming from the board,
Okay.
approving to have her removed from that tax roll.
Well, if there's an existing one that you're just making sure that it gets removed, then I would say just follow up on that one, because that was dated 2020, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I mean, I just want to make sure again that there's no surprises for Ms. Diaz on who's going to pay these taxes, right? So if we're going to remove it completely, then let's continue to follow up with that and make sure that that happens. Again, we don't want to have any surprises midway.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I will follow up on that.
Okay. All right, Commissioners. There's no other questions. To pass to take action on.
I make a motion to approve the survey authorization for tract 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Inalahan for Miss Aisha Francine Mafnas Diaz.
Thank you, Commissioner Santos. Can I get a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bordalio. Any objections? Okay, no objections. Motion passes for the survey authorization for tract 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Inalahan for Miss Aisha Francine Mafnas Diaz. Thank you. Next.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a residential lease for Aisha Francine Mafnas Diaz for tract 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Inalahan.
Thank you, Commissioners. Any objections? Okay, no objections. The motion passes for residential lease for Miss Aisha Francine Mafnas Diaz for tract 3734, block 19, lot 17 in Inalahan. Okay, thank you so much, Commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Diaz, for your presence. Any
Thank you all. No questions. Thank you for taking action on this.
Thank you. Stay safe, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Ali?
Okay, next person is Say Taitung Fung Sayama, and Glenn's gonna present that regarding the taxes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have the Sayamas present today?
Okay.
No? Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Glenn A. 9882, CHamoru Land Trust. This is a case of Mr. Jose Taitifong Sayama for reimbursement. And I'd like to request to amend the amount of $539.23 to $570.99 due to additional property tax payment of $32.76 that was given to me after the board meeting of March 2021. So this is additional payment that I received for tax payment of year 2020 that was not included as part of the reimbursement.
I remember this one, Mr. A. So just to amend the amount of reimbursement for Mr. Sayama, correct?
Correct, yes. It was approved for 539.23 with the new receipt that I received for payment of uh, property tax payment. The year of 2020 was a total amount now comes out to $570.99 rather.
Thank you, sir. And then what's the second item here, Mr. A?
This is the only one I just wanted to point out for now.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, any questions there?
Yeah, why are you asking for termination of lease?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Why are you asking a termination of lease? I'm just curious if
Okay,
Mr. Sayama ever stayed in that tract.
I wanted to bring that up.
9210, Block 8, Block 13.
Okay, initially what was discussed during the board meeting was that was actually approved was a termination of lease for Mr. Sayama, and that was an error in on our part, because Mr. Sayama didn't have a clear lease. It was because he didn't sign the actual lease. Because he didn't sign the actual lease, the lease was not a good lease. So instead of terminating the lease, we should have, as he has requested to me, was to terminate his application. But instead of doing that, we terminated his lease where we mistakenly proved that. But the reason why I didn't bring that up today is because I'm requesting a written letter from him formalizing the request to delete or to remove him from the application stage, which he no longer wants. So though we had conversation, I wanted in a written statement.
So
the lot was never occupied?
The lot right now, there is never a lease to begin with because there was an offer signed by the administrative director, but there was an offer, but there was no acceptance rather. So because there was no acceptance, there's no lease.
But you want to terminate?
So let's sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just kind of walk through this, Mr. A. So, Mr. A, back in March, when the Sayamas were here present, we had moved to terminate their lease. However, there was no lease accepted, which means instead of terminating the lease, we should have terminated the application, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in order for us to, what you're saying is you won't take action on that today until you get a something in writing, right, from the Sayamas, from Mr. Sayama, in regards to terminating the application, since we took
Yes,
action in terminating a lease.
I need a letter from Sayama stating he wishes to or desires to terminate his application. Although we mentioned was just only verbal, I want it in a written statement.
So, Mr. A, just out of curiosity, how did we miss that process, or what the steps in understanding whether or not we were to take action on the lease, the termination of the lease, but obviously we took action to reimburse them the taxes, but terminating the lease versus terminating the application, where did we miss there? Again, this is more for us to, as a documented, learning item, that we could make sure that we apply the same to any other issues that may arise like this.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we miss sometimes in on our findings where we find later on, and so because we found it that there was an error, this is why we're trying to we have to correct it.
But why, you have the tax receipt? Under whose name is it?
The tax receipt was paid by the Sayamas.
So why
His
would
name,
you pay taxes and there was no lease?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Why would you, if Mr. Sayama paid taxes?
Paying taxes because he was under the impression that he had a good lease. But what had happened when he came in here to this year to discuss his lease in regards to property taxes, uh, only then he found out that the lease that he has, or rather, he thought he had, was not a valid lease because he didn't sign the lease. So that's why he was paying, even though he was advised not to pay for the lease, the property tax. He went and did it anyways because he didn't want to show that he owed any property tax, and he didn't want it made up in the public that he owed property tax for real property. He went and paid it willingly.
There has to be a paper trail, Why would revenue and tax produce a tax receipt when there's no document? I'm sorry, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no. So, Mr. A, just to follow up to Commissioner Bordalio, right? Again, not to belabor the point, but in this instance, if Mr. Sayama didn't have a lease, how did it get to be recorded under his name to be then taxed? Do we know what that process is?
In this case, it was never recorded. It was just a lease that was prepared, and then there was an offer signed by the administrative director. But as the lessee, the applicant rather, he never signed the lease, and which he thought that was a good lease.
Understood, but how did it get so that it's under his name at Rev and Tax to pay the property tax?
Okay, I didn't explain that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Anyways, at one time, they wanted to find out how much inventory we had, and they were gonna use that land valuation to get a bond. And what had happened was when they were giving Reverend Tax information on who had leases, whether it was recorded or not, some of the documents were overlooked. And what had happened was if they saw a lease in file, they didn't go and go through the lease thoroughly to find out if both applicant and the director signed the document. So they were using that information based on whatever land trust gave Reverend Tax. That, like for example, Mr. Sayama. So when the individual looked at his file, what they did was, okay, there's a lease in here, that's fine, okay, right? Because it was a very lengthy process to go through every file. And of course, we're short of staff. So I guess some of them overlooked it. They saw a lease. Okay, there's a lease. That's it. Put his name in. But they did not go through it thoroughly to see if the lease was consummated, where both signatures for the director and the applicant or lessee was signed. That's what happened there.
Also,
Those names that were given to Rev and Tax were automatically sent out with the bill to pay taxes, and like it's just not Mr. Sayama. You're gonna have a couple more people or several, maybe even hundreds, will come in and say, "Well, why am I being assessed a tax and I don't recall signing a lease?" And so that's when we come in and we try to fix the problem.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Eileen.
You're welcome.
Any questions?
Also, if I may add, since I've been here when I first started 5 years ago, I questioned that, whereas the director signed the lease and the applicant didn't sign the lease. And their answer to the past administrator and administration was that it's a good lease. It didn't matter. It was signed by the administrative director. It's a good lease, and that was the practice. But I always question that, because I always say there's 5 steps of to consummate a lease, and there was an offer, but there was no acceptance, and because there was no acceptance, it wasn't signed by the applicant. To me, I always said that wasn't a good lease, but my past supervisors and land administrators said it was good lease.
Mr. A, Mr. Sayama never occupied the property.
No, never occupied the property.
Accepted that?
Go ahead, Lydia.
Okay, this is Lydia Toledo. I was one of the land agents that was speaking with the Sayamas regarding this case. The reason why the Sayamas paid the property taxes was when they were under the impression it was a good lease, they wanted to transfer the lease. And because it had been more than 7 years, 7.5 will allow the lease to be transferred. However, before it can be transferred, land lease fees need to be cleared as well as property taxes, which is why they began the process of transferring the lease, which is they paid their property taxes and the land lease fees. That is why they were paying property taxes on a lease that wasn't good, simply because that's what they were instructed by a land agent from this agency. It took land agent Jessica Day to go through the file and discover it was not a good lease. Therefore, that's what got the ball rolling as far as getting everything settled for the Sayamas.
Understood. Thank you guys for clearing that up. I mean, I know we went through this a little. Obviously, we made the decisions back in March, but now that we're having to talk about the taxes again, I think it just clears everything up, and it helps to also provide us the guidance going forward, right, Ms. Eileen and team, that this is how we will continue to manage this process. Now, my suggestion are just to kind of talk into this a little bit more with the commissioners, right? Is I would say we table this until Mr. A is able to get the signed document, right, regarding that Mr. Sayama will cancel his application, and then we can action the remaining balance of the taxes.
Okay.
So, Mr. A, any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Miss Eileen.
That was the last of the presentation for land agents, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Okay, commissioners, we are at 2:56. Let's go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll come into our new business of the commercial determination of need. Okay, 10 minutes, 2:56. 2:57. Let's be back at 3:07. Thank you. Guys, hello everybody. We are back. The time is 3:12. Okay, next up on our agenda is the commercial determination of need. I believe Mr. Cruz, Joey, will be leading us on that.
Yes.
Okay, sir, you're up.
Good afternoon.
Joey, give me one second. Miss Eileen, can you hear me? We just wanted to clarify, Miss Eileen, that in our packet we had a constituent staff report for Jake Padella. Is that part of the list for today, or will we be tabling that? I just wanted to clarify since it was in the packet. You're on mute, Miss Eileen.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, can you say that again?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a constituent staff report for Jake Tadella. Is that on the list for today, or is that to be tabled?
No, I'm sorry, I forgot to inform you all that, that's not gonna be presented today.
Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and table that. Thank you, Ms. Eileen. Thank you, Commissioner Santos. Okay, Mr. Cruz, thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Joey Cruz, Program Coordinator 3 with the Commission. The fourth determination of needs for exceptional term contracts that is presented to the Board today is to comply with the conditions set forth in Public Law 32-40 and later amended by Public Law 34-99. The public laws that were mentioned places a 5-year cap on commercial leases. On May 20, 2021, the Board designated 4 properties for commercial use. It is our intention to offer an initial lease term of 50 years with an option to renew, with an option to extend for an additional 49 years. In order to do so, we ask that the Board approve all 4 determination of needs for exceptional term contracts. The determination of needs has been reviewed by our legal counsel.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, for this determination of need, it's for the properties that we're having public hearings on, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then this will all be part of the packet that will be sent over, right? Post all our activities here at the commission.
It would be packaged. Each lot that was designated will have their individual packet, and it will all incorporate everything we're doing from the Board approval all the way up until the Board declares through resolution, and then forward it to the legislature for their 60-day review.
Okay, all right. Thank you. And sorry, just one more clarification. It's the for the term of 50 years with one or more options to extend the term for an additional 49 years.
With an additional option to extend for 49 years.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners, any questions on that?
Just let us know when the hearings are.
Yes, we have one this Saturday in Chigo,
In Chigo.
and every other Saturday until July 3rd. But we'll send you guys
The
update.
Okay. All right. So, Joey, just to confirm, the action for the commission today is to make a motion to approve these determination of needs.
Yes, sir. So we can proceed with the publication.
And then, sorry, last, last one, sir. Could we, I mean, for Attorney Top Two, is it one, can we do one motion for all four? Or can we do individuals?
Yeah, we can do one motion.
Okay. Thank
As,
you.
as long as it's, the commissioners don't have any individual objections to any of the individual parcels contained within it.
Got it. Okay. And I'll just kind of ask.
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, if there's no questions on these four, we can take action if so please.
I would like to make a motion to proceed with the public hearings to determine the need for commercial leases, long-term leases on lot 101-25-R12-1, municipality of Dedido, lot 7117-4-1, municipality of Chico, lot 17-1-1, block F, tract 9, municipality of Barrigada, lot 354-7 and lot 354-R6-R/Y, that's right of way, R/, municipality of Inran.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergali. Joey? do you have
Sir, maybe if possible, the motion can be amended to approve the determination of needs for the lots stated by Commissioner Berdallo. Because the initial motion was to, I forgot what she had mentioned, but
Okay.
just so there's clarity.
Okay, so, Commissioner Bergali, just amend the motions for the commercial determination of need.
To approve
To
the
approve the
determination.
commercial-
Okay, I make a motion to approve the commercial determination of need for the exceptional term contracts on lot 101-25-R12-1, municipality of Dedido, lot 17117-4-1, municipality of Chico, lot 17-1-1, block F, tract 9, municipality of Barrigada, lot 354-7 and lot 354-R6-R/W, municipality of Inarahan.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergali. May I get a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Any objections? I'm going to run down each lot number. Any objections on lot, the determination of need for lot 101-25-R12-1, municipality of Dedido? No objections, motion passes. Any objections on lot, determination of need for lot 7117-4-1, municipality of Chico?
None.
Okay, no objections, motion passes. Any objections on the determination of need for lot 17-1-1, block F, tract 9, municipality of Barrigada?
None.
Okay, no objections, motion passes. And last one, determination of need for lot 354-7 and lot 354-R6-RW, municipality of Inarahan?
None.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cruz. Okay, up next is the Inadani Dinatla Ikuturan CHamoru 8, request for CHamoru Land Trust to be a co-applicant for the Department of Interior Energy Grant application. And I believe we have some representatives of Inadahin. Okay, thank you very much. So we have the presence of Ms. Monica Guzman and Mr. Rafael Pinco. Okay, so for the record, if you could please just state your name in the microphone.
Hafaday, I'm Monica Guzman. I'm a board member of Inadahin, Ilinatla, Couture, and Chamorro.
Today, I'm Rafael Pinko. I'm the president of the Nadain Ilinatla Couture and Chamorro.
Thank you very much for your presence today. And I will give you guys the opportunity to discuss the grant application and see what we can do here with the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Hafaday, members of the commission, Acting Director Ms. Camacho, and Attorney Top. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be here today. As you know, Inadahin Ilinatla Couture has been at the property and at Saga Couture and Chamorro. And at the beginning of the when we first got up to the property, there was no utilities, no power that was that there was no power up there, and our group had done their due diligence to try and see if we could get GPA to hook up power. It was actually going to cost way too much for us to even attempt to try to hook onto the grid. So what we found in the last few months is an opportunity to apply for a Department of Interior energy grant where we can install through this grant solar power. In researching the grant, we found out that one of the things that the Department of Interior will look at is the ownership of the site, which we at this point have only a right to enter, right? And so the way to being creative, we thought that if the Chamorro Land Trust were a co-applicant with Inadahin Ilinatla Couture in applying for this energy grant, then we may be able to secure funding to install a solar system up at the site. This will provide opportunities for our organization to grow. It will provide opportunities for us to
celebrating our heritage. We understand that there's not going to be a parade that day, so we kind of want to provide something for the community then too. I know it according to the current guidelines with the CDC and everything, we're following all of that. So, but we're making our mark in the community. Everybody is paying a lot more attention to this.
If I may add to that also, the programming that has been occurring under Inadahin Ilinatla Couture has really increased, and there is more interest in organizations to come and utilize the space. And like Raf said earlier, we do ensure that we meet all the public health guidelines, especially that instituted by the governor, social distancing and the number of people gathering and stuff like that. But what we want to do is perhaps in a partnership with the Chamorro Land Trust, submit this grant application. The goal, what we've been doing is we're collecting the numbers right now on what it would cost to install a solar energy system, and it's right in line with the government's strategic energy plan, which was developed in 2013. And so we know that we have a good chance of being able to meet the deadline, and we have a good chance of being successful. We won't know until we try. We have done, since coming on board to Inadahin, we've made applications, grant applications, and we've been successful in a couple of those grant applications, and we're just looking at all of the opportunities that are out there so that we can become a stronger organization and provide to the people of Guam a venue where they can come and experience our culture, provide a venue so that other cultural practitioners and artists can gather up at Sagan Couture and Chamorro, because we really feel that the last year during the pandemic, it really showed and demonstrated to us that our culture, or the people of Guam, are really hungry for Chamorro culture, and that's something that we're able to offer at Sagan Couture and Chamorro. Ralph said that we have a group of young slingers, and they're so excited to learn that ancient art of slinging. And if you have time on Wednesday afternoons, there's a group of really young kids that just really are up there and they want to learn. And it's done in a very safe environment. On the weekends, we have Tony Mantanonia?
Yes.
Tony Mantanonia, and he's up there baking goods in the hotnu. And there's plans to even do some cooking in the chahan. And so those kinds of activities, we know that our people are really hungry for. Applying for this grant, the title of the project is Powered Up, Energizing Our Cultural Center. What we also wanted to include in that application is to provide individual water meters for all the different units up there, because we're finding that Guahan Sustainable Culture and other groups, they really want to do community gardening so that we can teach our people how to be self-sustaining and how to plant their own vegetables and, to do the farm-to-table kind, not to steal from another organization, but that whole concept. And we're very excited, and we hope that the commission will at least help us in trying to make ourselves a little bit better. Do you have any questions?
I'll leave it to the commissioners first.
I'd like to add that one of our other board members is online as well, Amber Beneventi. She's also our interim director.
Yes, I see. On our Google Meets. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners,
did she want to add anything?
Yes, Amber.
Ms. Amber Beneventi, would you like to add a few words? Yeah.
Day. I'm Amber Beneventi, interim director, and one of the board of directors. I just want to say a little bit of a few things. Rav and Monica did mention all the activities that are going on up at the center. Our schedule is filling up, and like they said, with regards to our new organization that joined the center, Atsumerianes, they're up there at around 5 p.m. And it kind of conjoins in with the youth group that we have up there for the summer camp. But with that said, those activities are somewhat limited because at Samarianes, we have to pull out a generator or use our car batteries to run lighting. So it's kind of, we kind of have to cut all of our activities short in a ways because of the lack of power. So this grant, would help, further the activities into the night, and we can extend our hours. So I think that's all I want to say about this grant. I hope the commission considers it.
Thank you, Ms. Beneventi. Commissioners?
I have a question. This is going to be solar powered?
Yes.
Are you putting it on top of the building or on the land?
On top of the buildings.
Okay.
So our plan is to make it independent. So each unit will have its own system. And then we also will have plans to do pathway lighting, because it does get dark up there. So on the roadway going in, we're going to install some solar powered streetlights.
Streetlights,
Commissioner Sanchez?
Right now, what are you using to power up besides, I mean, with no power infrastructure or power capabilities to have up there, right?
Well, we get creative. Our buildings are generator ready. We like to use that term, so that if anyone that's like any of the organizations have their own generator, they come up, plug in, and they turn their light. And it's pretty much just for lights. Also, they'll bring their own chain lights, stuff like that. But besides that, we only have some minor solar powered spotlights attached to all the buildings. Recently obtained by a grant.
How long have you guys been up at the property?
Since 2006.
And what were you faced when you got onto the property?
What we were faced with was a lot of jungle and a lot of sweat equity that we put into it all the way up until we had a soft opening in 2014. But the time between then, it really was it was a lot of work put into it. The place was a wreck. There were abandoned cars. You could be standing 3 feet in front of the building and not see it because there was so much cadena, and the swordgrass is 18 feet tall. It was extreme up there. We've managed to condition the property down into a beautiful park. So we have like 6, 7 different types of plumerias up there, all donated by the community. Yeah, it's so beautiful up there now. It's a nice little hidden treasure, up the hill.
Thank you, Clarence. I guess why I'm asking that is because I wanted on the record to state that since the organization has been onto the property, who has been the one to fork out, like you said, sweat equity,
Yeah.
right? Has it just been you guys? Have you guys been attaining any grants to improve the property?
We've tried. We've worked with some local businesses. In fact, our Laddystone Gate entrance was a product of a partnership through GTA. One of our buildings was renovated by Chugash and Home Depot. So over the years, we've worked with a lot of businesses in the community, especially the general members of the community. And especially the artists. We try to reach out to the local artists and become a resource for them. So.
If I may add to, the site was actually the venue for the traditional arts during FESPAC. And there were hundreds of people that came up to Second Cultura during FESPAC on a daily basis. And they would have stayed late into the night if we had power there. But a lot of our visitors, especially the delegates from the other countries, they just were amazed at how beautiful the spot was and how our cultural practitioners that were up there were so eager to share our culture with their culture, and it was just a beautiful gathering of all of the cultures of the Pacific during FESPAC. And I was part of the planning for FESPAC in Guam, and it was just one of the most beautiful sights to see when you see 27 island countries sharing their culture with our own people. I'd also like to add the question about if we've had other partnerships. Having been in the cultural community for many, many years on Guam, businesses are, they want to help and they want to assist and they want to partner with us, but our culture is a hard, it's not a money-making venture. You know what I mean? It's not like sports where you can sell sponsorship of athletes and games and all of that stuff. This is the heart of our people. It's the heart of our island. And we're very fortunate that we did have those companies to come up and support us, and we continue to look for those companies to support us. And you know, so what we're doing as an organization is we're looking for those grants where, you know, a little bit of thinking and conceptualizing and figuring out how it is that we can use these grants to further our mission and further our purpose. And being creative with this energy grant, and this is funded by the Department of Interior. We know that if we made an application, then one of the first things they're gonna look at, which is what we've experienced in previous grant applications, is what is your authority to be on the property? You know, and so this was a creative way to say, why can't we partner with the commission? You guys are the landowners, we are the tenants, and let's partner, and it'll be win-win for both of us. You know, and so what we want to do, it's an energy grant, and it's focused on the reduction of the use of fossil fuels. And so that's why we went with the whole solar power. There's, you know, there may be an opportunity down the line to do wind turbines, you know, because that area up there is, I mean, there's always a breeze. But for the moment, just to fulfill our needs today, we thought that going with solar would be the easiest.
So I'm gonna, I think, any other questions, Commissioners? I have.
Yeah, I just have it's, you know, once you get your power on, are you folks covered under general liability? Are you covered by insurance?
I'm sorry?
The grounds?
Yes, we do have insurance for the grounds and, yeah.
In case someone gets it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
And we want to be protected too.
Yeah.
No, we do, and that's one of your requirements, is to have general liability insurance, and we do have that, and we have, I think it was renewed in March. Yeah.
That's my concern.
But that's critical, thank you for asking that.
Yeah, actually, I have a slew of questions, but I think my first question is going to be to Attorney Top. Can the commission even engage and you know, partner with Inundag sort of on this venture?
Yes, they do.
You can? Okay.
More of those do.
Okay. So now that we got the yes from our attorney, I have a list of questions just kind of regarding the grant. In addition to Senator Dada's question on insurance, right? So who would be, since we're a co-applicant, where does the line get drawn on, you know, things like who's responsible for maintenance? Who's going to be responsible for additional improvements that are needed for the solar system, right? Since we're going to have the photovoltaic system and the battery backups, that's going to require maintenance. So where would those monies come from for those maintenance? Again, since we're part of the grant, if it gets approved. Other questions is, you know, the other additional provisions of the grant. What is held to the trust? And what is, you know, since it's all shared, right? Because it's a co-applicant. So things like that, right? Do we have those specifics considered today?
Thank you for asking that, because we did include, and Rap and I were just talking about it before we walked in this morning, that we did include funding for maintenance, because in the initial conversations we've had with various solar energy providers, they did inform us that there may need to be some maintenance of the grounds just to ensure that the access to the sun is there. And so we included maintenance for that. We also included, you know, because it's a very costly piece of equipment, we also included solar security cameras as part of the grant application, because we wanted to make sure that we can, you know, keep an eye on it. Right.
Okay. And with the grant, right, you will purchase the entire system versus how traditionally someone would, if they're connected to the grid, they will sell back and all those programs. But
It'll be
this one will be
self-sustaining. We're not
self-sustaining,
connecting to the grid.
Right, purchase, et cetera, right? So this
Yeah,
is, okay,
yeah.
all right. Since we're completely off the grid and the battery system, I think, that's the biggest thing we need to make sure we account for that maintenance. Depending on which version or which technology that we use today, it's, sometimes those batteries are only gonna last us for 5 years and it has to either be switched out or some of those cells, right? I'm not too familiar with that, but I know that doesn't last, it won't last forever.
Right.
In that sense, right, from the battery perspective.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we're hoping that whatever the length, the lifespan of the panels will be, by that time, Inadahen will have grown and we'll be able to support ourselves, and by that time, we should have been able to apply for bigger and better grants, and it's just all part of our growth process.
And, we're on Guam, so there's gonna be some storms and typhoon. What would be the insurance also that we would have to get for that? Is that already part of the funding?
In the discussions that we've had, we want to make sure that whatever is being installed up there will be able to withstand typhoon-grade winds. And because we're so close to the ocean, the whole salt kind of thing is also a consideration.
I just wanted to ask to that, the structures, are they up to par with the capability of holding those, right?
Yes.
Holding the solar panels?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's also in consideration with the maintenance part, so.
Part of the grant also is we've allocated some funding in the grant so that we can get a structural engineer and an electrical engineer to come in and actually do a study to ensure that when we do put anything on the roof, that it'll be able to handle it. But so far, we've been told that it's fine, but we just want to make sure.
Of course, yeah, because the last thing we want is that we start installing the concrete from,
Right.
for example.
Yeah. Yes, we realize that they're very old buildings. Yeah. So that's part of the grant.
So, and kind of just the last question I had, right, from a risk perspective, and responsibility, right, is where, the commission's putting, their name on this as well, and where does those responsibilities, begin and end, I guess, from that perspective?
Well, Inadahen would be the main applicant, so if we're successful with this grant, then the funding will come through Inadahen. And then you, as the co-applicant and the owner of the property, will be stated in the grant as the co-owner of the property, as the owner of the property.
I think that's all the questions I had. And Attorney Toth, did you have any insight questions? Commissioners?
How do you see this, Attorney Toth?
I mean, you've seen it in, there's other agencies that have similar issues where they're asked to.
The center is very important, but we are focused on defining that which is CHamoru. Until we can get everybody on the same sheet of music, I think that would be more beneficial instead of getting lost in the sea of cultures, which is important that we promote everybody's culture, but we need to understand who we are too. That's been the longest statement now that I've seen from many CHamoros, or I've heard from many CHamoros from here and abroad. They just need to know who they are, and having a cultural center on Guam, just like, if not, more than what they got in the States, because they have one in California, and I can't wait to visit it myself. Yeah, but we need to have one here to help define ourselves. Micronesian Cultural Center would be a great idea. Would be a great idea. That as a Chamorro Cultural Center. So.
All right, commissioners. No additional questions.
Just Mossy.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess a letter saying that you, that the board has approved to be a co-applicant, I think we're going to require some kind of documentation, whether it's in the form of a letter or a resolution, to attach to our application.
Sure, yes. And you can definitely work with Angie on that
Okay.
and Ms. Tina.
On behalf of all of the families and cultural practitioners and artists and all of our young slingers that use the property every Wednesday, we want to thank you and the Chamorro Land Trust Commission for partnering with us in this application, and Sizu'us Ma'asi.
Agamas, and good luck. We hope we can get the grant. So,
Yes.
thank you.
If I may also, Mr. Chairman and members, we would still like to pursue the other issue that is before us. And what we have done is we have the services of an attorney. So at some point, we'd like to talk about how we can move forward in securing a more permanent arrangement with Inadahin and the Chamorro Land Trust.
Yes, yes. Definitely connect with Joey, Teresa, or Miss Angie, and we can begin that process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, can I say something?
Yes, yes.
A couple weeks back, we submitted a letter via email, and it was received by your admin, requesting the renewal of our right of entry, because right now we have only received a letter during Hatik's administration there, in support of one of our other grants, and our last right of entry what expired in 2019. So we're just kind of writing on a letter right now, and we would like if to request to renew our right of entry so that we are secure in the space up there.
Attorney.
Yeah, we can do that by motion today and then just have the director cut and sign.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And so I don't have all the information. So Ms. Beneventi, you said it expired in 2019?
Yes, it expired January 2019. We submitted a letter requesting Director Hatik from him to renew the right of entry. At that point, you guys did not have a board in place, so he went ahead and it gave us a letter because that we were also submitting for smaller grants. So I think we still just have that letter in place, and we don't really have an official right of entry.
Okay, let's do this. Let me have Angie kind of take the lead on that and find kind of all the missing pieces, and then once we get all that together, we can take action on that in our July meeting.
Thank you.
Just so that I don't want to
thank
miss a
you.
step on that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guzman and Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I can finish my vote.
Okay, we have a few more items, but we do have Commissioner Regalez that needs to leave by 4 or new after. Okay, so I think I definitely want to address the Joint Region Marianas, Attorney Top. We need to address that, and then the next item, Commissioner Regalio, is going to be the approval of the modifications to the CLCC rules and regulations. So if you can give us another 20 minutes. We can get through those, and then everything else, I believe, we could either table or it's just going to be in discussion. And Attorney Toss, if we can just have discussion, right? If Commissioner has to leave.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You don't want to do a continuation?
But
It's up to.
yeah.
For the rules and regs, we should definitely push forward today.
Yes.
On that, just because we are on a tight timeline with the settlement agreement with the Department of Justice.
So we just do those two items, Commissioner, and then we can you can be excused. Okay. Attorney Top, are you leading our discussion on the?
I can do that for the. You want to start with the modification of the rules and regs or the JRM?
Let's start with JRM.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the JRM agreement, it was just a memorandum of agreement between basically the GovGuam and the feds. It went over our heads a bit. It went directly to the governor's staff, but it was basically an agreement for usage of antenna sites. So it's a cooperative agreement between the local government and the federal government to allow uses of each other's antenna sites, but you can share antennas and have transmitters on one or the other to increase the coverage for both areas. So this was submitted and sent over to the governor's office and went straight to the Attorney General. It kind of bypassed us despite it having some sites on our land. I did discuss that a little bit with the governor's council, but apparently this also happened with some other agencies as well because of the time, the short amount of time that was kind of given to get this through.
Okay.
I believe the government of Guam had the site that was ours was I believe the Barragata site. I don't have an exact lot number here for that.
Yeah, I was looking for either lot numbers, but I was guessing it would be the Varigata one.
Yeah.
So,
but it's again, it's not a lease or license or just well, I guess a license, but not really something that's subject to CLTC laws, rules, and regs.
okay.
And the governor does have the authority to do that. So.
And these have all been in existence.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah. These
over
have
time.
been. Yeah. It was basically a continuation of a policy that's existed for many decades.
Okay. And so is this a new MOA that's, or is this why did this come about and then you got brought into
It came about because the old ones expired.
Expired, okay.
Yeah. It's more of a notice to our agency than anything else. It's nothing for us to
take action.
To vote on or take
Okay.
action on. Just notice that it's occurring.
Okay.
FYI.
Yeah.
And one of it is our properties in Varigata, right?
Yes.
FYI.
FYI.
CLTC, FYI.
Yeah. By the way, we already did this here.
Okay. And is there anything that we need to sign?
No.
No. Okay.
No. It was just. I
notice.
think governor signed it and the AG signed it and then the Navy signed it. As a matter of fact.
You say Barragata side, is that the one in Radio Barragata? You know?
Maybe it's near Barragata.
I think it's Barragata.
And around Honolulu, Barragata, Rodi Point, Molesto, Antigua.
Yeah, it wasn't very descriptive.
Let me do this. Let me track down exactly what the sites are and I will email the board so that we have exact records of what sites that they're using.
Okay, and we'll just, and sorry, just more for Joey, we'll be just filing this for our records?
For the Barragata site, I was in communication with Mr. Jonathan from TG Engineers. That's how we found out the lot number, which is lot 11-1, block B, track 9.
11-1, block B?
D?
D as in dog?
Yes, track 9.
Track 9. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Chop. And Mr. Cruz, anything else on this? Any questions, commissioners? Okay, next up on the agenda, Joe, you're gonna move things around because Commissioner Berdado needs to leave. So let's move to the proposed modification to the CLTC rules and regulations.
Okay, so what I sent out was basically a slightly modified version that included the requested spelling changes on CHamoru. So these are all the, what I had presented last meeting all still stands as far as the alterations that were made, just with the included There's some spelling and grammar corrections I'd make, but also the important thing was the changing of the spelling of CHamoru to the capital CH, with the U at the end, alternate spelling, or official spelling. Other than that, they're the same changes as were presented at last month's board meeting, just there for your review and to vote on whether or not now to push forward with a public hearing and to draft economic impact statement. Those are the next steps.
I believe Director Camacho has some either questions or changes or addendums.
So, may I show you what our latest version is, and then I'll pass out the latest version to our commissioners?
Okay.
Typos and minor changes to the document.
You want to just kind of give Attorney Top what those are? Do we need to do that here?
We don't need to do that. Okay. I mean, it's like the minutes, you know.
We'll work with
we can,
Attorney Top
Yeah.
on the corrections that we made.
Yeah. And what I can do also is work with the, I've been trying to get a hold of the compiler of law to see if potentially there is, because these have never been, the old rules, the 2338, never were codified under Guam law. So there's questioning as to how the numbering should be done in that. So that may be something also subject to change in numbering also.
All right, and so the action for the commissioners today is to accept these amendments to the rules and regs.
Yes.
And then to proceed to the next step, which is public hearing.
Yes.
On these amendments.
Yes.
Okay. All right, commissioners, any questions?
No.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely in order for us to move forward. Again, these are tied to the settlement agreement, and we just need to continue to progress to ensure that the DOJ sees that we're close to wrapping this up, right? And more progress is being made. This is an attorney's office to confirm this is the last piece.
Yes.
That needs to be completed.
Yeah.
On the agreement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So you want to go?
Where are we going?
Let's
go.
All right, so two pieces here. It's to accept the amendments to the rules and regs, and then the second one would be to proceed with the public hearing.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept the amendments to the rules and regulations for the CHamoru Land Trust Commission. Is it upon or subject to typos and grammatical error?
Yes.
Right, corrections?
Yeah.
Okay. Subject to grammatical corrections.
So, I second.
Thank you. Any objections? Okay, motion passes to accept the amendments to the rules and regs, the commercial rules and regs, correct?
No, just the.
I'm
Rules
sorry,
and regs.
just the rules and
The
regs.
rules and regs.
Rules and regs
For the CHamoru Land Trust.
of the CHamoru Land Trust Commission, subject to any corrections or grammatical corrections. Ms. Tina, is that captured? Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to make a motion to proceed with the public hearings for the amendments of the rules and regs of the Land Trust Commission.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bergalio. Motion passes to begin the process or proceed with the public hearings regarding the amendments to the rules and regs of the Toronto Land Use Commission. Okay. Thank you, commissioners. All right, we just look to Mr. Cruz. We have a few more items on our agenda, but Commissioner Berdalio needs to leave. So I'm going to move that we table the affordable housing line item here. We can definitely address that in our next meeting. And then the updates, I believe these updates to the commercial licenses. And then if you can get Mr. Cruz, could you join us, please?
So we don't have any documents on the affordable housing?
No. It wasn't included in the packet. I think there was just more of an update for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
we can table that.
the Johnny Cole and
Yes, I
Dog
believe.
Racing, they're not here?
Yeah, they're not here, but I believe those are just updates as well. I just need to clarify one more thing with Mr. Cruz.
That looks like it's part of the audit, so.
Mr. Cruz, any actions on the FY 2020 that we need to do before Commissioner Berdalio needs to leave?
Yes, sir.
Or can we table
If-
it?
If we can just address the Johnny Cool.
Okay.
Guam Racing is just an update.
Okay.
So for Johnny Cool, we received his appraisal reports. But unfortunately, both appraisal reports have different area sizes. So we went back to the transfer document. That also has a different area size. And then we went to the reference map. That also has a different area size. So we're requesting that the board approve a survey authorization for Mr. Johnny Cole, just so that we can know the actual area size that's going to be utilized and can be referenced in the lease.
Okay, and this will be on Mr. Forrest's
Dime, yes.
He'll be paying for it?
Yes, sir.
And have you had your conversation with him already?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was informed already.
Okay.
What, do we have a specific lot? Or?
It's the lot in the Harmon, across the, or behind the laundry area in Harmon, or the Harmon McDonald's. He currently, or he had a lease, a commercial license. That license had expired. The board had already approved the extension for the same term. Now we're just doing data gathering so we can determine what his annual rate is going to be. We present it to the board. But because all different documents we referred to all have a different area size, we are requesting that a survey authorization be granted so we can know the actual area that he's going to utilize.
Okay.
This will prevent us from undercharging or overcharging Mr. Johnny Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, and the fact that Mr. Torres will pay for it, then, we'll be able,
That's the subject area.
When is lined out? Outlined?
Yes, yes.
And then just for the motion, granted, if we move on it, what is the lot, do you have to use the lot number just to clarify?
Mel, can you, 5149-6.
That's 6.
What village? Teledor?
Harmon. What's the municipality, Harmon?
5149-6.
It's the Dedido.
Dedido, sorry.
Oh, Dedido.
Municipality is.
905, Dedido.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, commissioners?
No.
Okay. So if we want to act on that, survey completed or survey authorization?
Yes.
Make a motion to to grant Mr. Johnny Cole a survey authorization for lot 5149-6 in the municipality of Dedido.
May I get a second?
That's for Johnny Torres, or Johnny Cole. I second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bria. Any objections? Okay, motion passes for the survey authorization for lot number 5149-6 in the municipality of Benito for Mr. John Torres. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, so that's, so for Commissioner Badalio needs to leave. Joey, do we, anything else?
No, that's it.
We can table everything else on that piece, but I do want to get through the agency report and the commissioner's comments. Okay, so let's take a quick 10-minute break, so that Senator Vidal can leave, and then we'll be back. Okay, thank you, everybody.
I think, as long as we go
discussed it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just a discussion.
Okay, that's a discussion.
It was an FYI.
Ready for your patience. Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. We're back. The time is 4:24. And Mr. Cruz, you could begin on the next item that we were going to discuss was the fundraising as an update.
The Guam Racing Federation submitted some documents that we had requested. We just sent an email yesterday because we're lacking the initial topographic survey that's needed to ascertain the amount of material that has been taken out versus the amount of money that was paid to us. Mr. Pierce from our survey division is here to comment on that.
So we've been asking Mr. Simpson and the gentleman from Smithbridge. He sent us a bunch of files, and to be honest with you, we weren't able to open any of those files. We were able to get one topo map that was dated July 2020, and I know that's from last year. So we spoke to I forgot his name from. There was his name there, the Australian guy.
I think Ross.
Ross, I believe his name is Ross, yeah. He says that they're trying to procure a final survey, topo map, and I would assume that would bring us up to date as to how far down or how much more material has been removed. I went through some of their files and tried to get the topo map for before they started extracting, but we weren't able to find one, so that's when Joey had to request from Mr. Simpson for the if they in fact had one.
And this is just, again, just to confirm, just to ensure that the area that has been identified for those clearing and grading is still within the confines.
The phases, right?
The phase.
Yeah. In addition to us ascertaining the amount of material taken versus what was paid.
Okay, thanks for the update, Joey. Let's please just keep in close contact with Mr. Simpson. Just follow up if he's not being responsive, then so that we can just continue to move forward. There's other open items, but let's square some of these away.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that update. And then we'll move on now to the next item on the agenda is the financial report, which I believe we don't have an update, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and move to the next item, and the agency report. So I'll turn that over to you, Ms. Camacho.
One of the items that were mentioned that the board wanted to discuss was the 2019 priorities. We have a director's report dated April 29, 2021. And we also have the minutes from the CLTC special meeting dated January 1st, 2019, which was where the priorities for 2019 were mentioned by then Chairwoman Pica Ferheran. So number one of the priorities is to reestablish the Chamorro Land Trust Commission as a separate agency from the Department of Land Management. The second priority is improve the transparency of the trust. The third priority is register and survey all lands for the CHamoru Land Trust inventory and determine best use. Number 4, work with the legislature to come up with a bill to ratify the 102 null and void leases and to amend Public Law 23-38 and the CHamoru Land Trust Act. Once those amendments are made, we'll need you to map, document, and train CLTC staff and our beneficiaries on the processes, requirements, and policies for agricultural and residential leasing. Number 5, reestablish the integrity of the residential and agricultural waiting lists. And the 6th and final priority was prepare for future leasing to include a preparation of a baseline report with the property inventory, which would be the CLTC supply versus CLTC lessee and applicant demand to determine the long-term planning needs. Future leasing would require that CLTC coordinates. Based on the director's report dated April 29, 2021, number 1 priority regarding the executive order, Mr. Haddock had deemed that accomplished.
Okay. And so let's just go, sorry, just for, again, this is more just for discussion to make sure that we could itemize this, right? So then the director had to deem this as complete, right? So I mean,
Completed.
It's complete, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2, improve the transparency of the trust. He also deemed that accomplished. The registering and surveying all lands for CHamoru Land Trust inventory and determine best use, ongoing. Number 4, work with the legislature to come up with a bill to ratify the 102 null and void leases and to amend Public Law 2338, ongoing. Reestablish the integrity of the residential and agriculture waiting lists, completed. And number 6, prepare for future leasing to include a preparation of baseline report with the property inventory. It's still ongoing.
Okay. And then, Joey, there are other items here, maybe were they part of the priority list that generate revenue based on CLTC current revenue stream?
I apologize. That's number 7.
Okay. And then number 8, reorganize the CLTC staff in the efforts to achieve the priorities mentioned above.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So those are actually included on that.
Yes. Number 7 is on.
Assess and revisit as we feel that we've started to accomplish things, right? I think there's the one thing that seems to be a little bit slower is the cleanup, right? And this is some of the things that I know that I've been wanting to make sure that we focus on these cleanups, because these cleanups will only help us to ensure that any of these other issues that come up, that's probably going to be the same, right? We have a path forward, we have the standard
Guideline.
to work through, right? And we don't have to guess on oh, is this new, is this different, have we handled this before? And that's why documentation is key, right? So those are some of the things that I think that are still, they're still very relevant, right? And that's kind of why I wanted to kind of bring this up into just a discussion, right? It's just to kind of start these discussions off and making sure that, yes, the prior director may have had his, he may have deemed it complete or deemed it ongoing, but I think there's still lots of opportunity, right, for us to to determine whether the units are still relevant, and then also reprioritize what's 1, what's 2, what's 3, what's 4, right? So just as a starting point, I think that getting our inventory, what's available for to be able to register, and survey, right, is going to be important. And I think that's one of the most important, but also there's still a lot of moving parts to that, right? And understanding, exactly identifying what those parcels are. And then layering, right? The other thing that's going to be important is layering on top. What is the infrastructure that's available there today, or lack thereof, right? So,
Just to provide you with some information, we sent a letter to GWA and GPA requesting for a copy of their shape files related to Chamorro Rancho's property. That would allow our survey guys to determine how far the water or wastewater or power, and it will also provide us the opportunity to plan and to determine what would the cost be to actually install, to fully install at least the main water line and the power poles and things of that nature.
Yeah, and that's gonna be very important, right? So we know what our tract is if we identify it, layering the infrastructure on top of that would even be more beneficial in us identifying these large tracts that could be used residentially.
So in addition to, or because you mentioned about processes and things of that nature to refer to, or for corrective actions for things that were done, I guess contrary to law, the committee, in consultation with Attorney Toff, have formulated 4 different options to address the null and voids. To understand the null and voids derived from the switch and transfer of application date and time, which resulted in a lease issuance to the constituent, who was the person who was in the latter part of the line, who switched with an earlier person. So, and also, the null and void also includes the transfer of application rights by a living applicant. So the committee, we went back and we reviewed some of the actions taken, and we considered that when we were developing a corrective action to propose. So if I may, I could read out what we've proposed, and it was reviewed by Attorney Toff, and he had gave his approval. The first proposed action is to grant the board additional authority to allow for such action, meaning there will not be an amendment, but in addition to the existing rules, to allow the board to grant a switch and transfer of application date and time, or to authorize the transfer of application rights by a living applicant to someone else. The second proposed action is to terminate leases, revert back application date and time, grant a right of entry for everyone until their date and time is reached for processing. Just last month, the board had, or last month or the month before, the board had granted a right of entry to a constituent who was on the null and void list. The third option is to terminate leases, revert back application date and time. COTC will reimburse constituents who has paid for a survey, grant a right of entry to those who have a loan guarantee or constructed a single-family dwelling to ensure financial obligations are paid. And the fourth option is to terminate leases, revert back date and time, application date and time, process application when date and time is reached. COTC reimburse constituents who paid for a survey. COTC execute a payment arrangement with constituents with loan guarantees and allow constituents to continue to reside in their residence. So those are the 4 options that we have came up with so far, and it has been reviewed by Attorney Toff, and it would address the null and voids.
And so that would be what the list video or
Yes.
the committee would use to every single
Yes.
one that they review, right? These are the options that we can either correct or...
We prefer the board decides on one type of corrective action, because we presented 4, so at least you have the option to decide which may be more favorable for the constituent, and also to be equitable to everybody on the null and void listing. That's why we went back and we reviewed what were the decisions made in the past, and it's been incorporated, maybe not in all, but in one specific.
Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, we obviously can't vote on that today, but I think it'd be good to send out your draft, right, to the commissioners, just so we can read it in depth, right? And then we can take action on that in the next meeting. I think that'd be good. And then, then we would have a discussion, and then, I'm sure there's pros and cons for each one.
Yes.
We need to find the best path forward, right, to deal with these law employees. So, okay, appreciate that. Anything else from that?
As far as the land registration, we seized all processing. Unfortunately, our land agents had recorded with the court the declaration of services. Unfortunately, that was rejected. So we had seized all process servings related to the registration of lot 10148 until.
Yeah, it was a timing thing. We hadn't filed the case yet, and they tried to file the service of process with the court, so it got sent back.
Okay, right, so.
That should be being filed within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, now, is that the only one that's in flight today for registration, land registration?
We have one that's, a small one that's coming up in a couple weeks. And then we have, I think, 3 that should be filed within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Of larger lots, including 2 that should be suitable for high-density residential.
Could you just kind of itemize those, and then what are the potential, or I guess, square years?
Okay.
And then I'll have the survey guys kind of put those tracks up, and then see what we can plot, to see what the amount of residential leases we can put on there. All right, so just to backtrack a little bit on our priorities, right? I think one of the things that will be important is to create a strategic plan, right? In how we address land registration, how we, not only the land registration, but also the surveying, right? And what that will all entail. I think another thing that we need to, again, I think some of these priorities all these priorities are still very relevant for us today. But I think that to expand upon the register and survey is we need to put a strategic plan, right? And what that strategic plan should entail is, again, identification of these parcels or these tracts, layering on top, again, like I said earlier, what infrastructure is there or not, right, or lack thereof. And then at least we have, this list, is it 5, 10, whatever is going to be the best, so that we know exactly.
Guidelines.
Yeah, where to pull, right, when it comes to progressing, right? And I think, and then lastly, sorry, Commissioner, I know you're going to want to add to this, but is the backlog, right? The thousands that we still have that we need to address, right? And I know prior director had started to formulate, right, some things, but I think that is going to need to be also bubbled up to the top, so that we can begin addressing that, right? And then, what is our plan, right? So I know in either the December or January meeting, we had agreed on moving 10, is it 10 or 20? 20 agriculture.
But I think it was before the December. We approved the first list in December. Our first meeting.
Okay, so it kind of all ties together where I'm going with this. So it was a 10 agriculture, 10 residential?
2020.
2020, okay. Where are we at with that? Do we have an update?
No update as of this time. Our focus has been on trying to correct all the actions that have been taken, to find resolution to it, to present to the board.
Okay. But we have identified, we definitely have identified, because it has to go through sequential.
It has to be vetted, yes.
Okay. All right, so is that something that can be done in tandem? Is that something that can be done in tandem with everything else we've got going on? And who would manage this 20?
Yes, it could be.
It could be? Okay. All right. That's all I had. Commissioner Santos, on the priorities?
I guess just to add on to what you were talking about with the strategic planning, right? And I did want to ask, how are we, what is the agency's, not necessarily focus, but are we dealing with people on a day-to-day basis when they come in and they're declaring it's an emergency, that you help me right now, I need this service? So is that what's presented to the board? Because that's what, do you know what I mean? Like, is that how we are putting items on the agenda is on a day-to-day, people still come in, what is the process, right?
From what I know is, everything being presented to the board is a backlog. Even when we do get walk-in constituents who request for, utility authorization, anything of that nature, we address it right away. If I'm not mistaken, the administrative director was given the authority to approve, utility authorizations for leases that were awarded. But there is also, I believe, I think 22-157, Public Law 22-157, where authorizes the director to grant utility authorizations for humanitarian reasons. So we also do that. They also address the concerns of relocation, beneficiary designations. Just about any request that comes in, the staff addresses it on a first come, first served basis. But everything being presented to the board currently is our backlog.
I did have a question, but I mean, I want to get Senator Gallo up to speed with where we're at. We're talking about the 2019 priorities that were asked of the then director, Jack Hattick. So Joey gave us an update. He's giving us an update. What I've been thinking about too is just since we're having this discussion about the process and guidelines coming up to how we do proceed with the null and void list and everybody's, I mean, the agency and along with the Attorney Toft are working together to come up with those guidelines. And, you know, it's a case by case, right? Every case is different. But with standard operating procedures and with how we lease out or award leases, it's the procedure's the same, right? And then when we get into the process of starting the application with your survey papers or whatever else documents you need, I was wondering if we can have a guideline set, right, and made law for the agency and the program. If we can have those discussions amongst, you know, the agency's workers as well as with Mr. Attorney Toft, and then, you know, brought up to the board and discuss more. But that's something to think about. So going forward, there are different directors that come in with different administrations, but the process should never change, right? So if we can set that forth, so we don't have anybody else from this commission or the next commission say, oh, you're 7,589? Okay, why don't you just go sit on that property and we'll get, you know, you'll get your turn. So when it comes that time for that number, we're like, oh, whoa, well, sheesh, you built structure already. You planted 1,200 mango trees. Sheesh, we can't kick you out now, right? So it's just the process that should never change. So if we can set that forward, then that would be immense for the program, as well as for our people. So we won't have to go back and be like, oh, I didn't give you a chance because your number wasn't called yet. Even, right? Make it even.
If I may, we have an SOP that has been already approved by the board. We're gonna go back and review that SOP because of the changes in the law. And also, it is our intention that when a corrective action that addresses any of our lessees that were either awarded a lease improperly, it is our intention to take that corrective action and develop an SOP, because it would be too time consuming for us to go back and review all 11,000 files. By doing so, or by creating an SOP, when we start the process of moving forward, if one of those cases should arise, we already have something to refer to correct that action. And if we go through an audit or a review by the feds or anything of that nature, we have something to refer to that's set in stone already and that's been approved by the board that we can fall back on. It's just what we're doing now. I understand that it's taking some time, but aside from developing corrective actions and SOPs, we have many other requests that come in from our constituents or whether from another agency. And we're doing our best to try to address all, but in due time, we will present that. It's not on the back burner, but it's something we do work, not daily, but within the week.
No, that's great, and I appreciate because, some of it should be very cut and dry and standard, but also there's the ones that we have to really think outside the box, right? So if we can use the 80-20 rule, right, 80% of it gets, handled by the standard, and then the 20% gets, moved through and goes to Mr. Toff's desk.
Yeah, because we email Mr. Toff a lot. And just so you know also, in regards to the staff reports that are being presented to the board, we had a discussion, or an email was sent to the staff that now when staff reports are created, you have the facts, which is almost like an abstract or the history of what had transpired related to that application or lessee. You have the findings, which would be the statutes that support the lessee's requests and also support the recommendation of the staff. That would create the review process, which is done internally, and the deciding decisions made by the board. It would be more efficient and effective, and it would also mitigate any type of actions that should be done contrary to law. So we're not backstepping our process.
I mean, I think it, again, this is my 8th month, right? The staff reports have definitely evolved and has been very concise, right? And I think over time, it's going to take everyone to get used to everyone's style in how they want to review these documents. So I just wanted to thank the team, right, to continue to collaborate to make this a more efficient process. Again, because it's only going to benefit our constituents at the end. So the more the board has the details, or the commission has the details and the facts in front of them, we'll formulate other questions, but it's just, if it's all there, it's easy to point exactly, right, without any ambiguity. So that's the worst thing is where we get in depth and then there's such critical information that's missing, then we have to table it, right? So just, again, I commend the staff for continuing to improve the process, which makes, things more efficient and the benefit, again, is always going to be our constituents and getting through some of these things.
Our approach to the staff reports is if you can't reference anything in the law, then it's really not a recommendation you should make. It's clear and it's clean.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, Senator Dowd, thanks for joining us again. We just went through the priorities. All seem pretty relevant. There's some strategic plans that need to be developed, especially when it comes to land registration and surveys. So things that we deal with on a monthly basis, right? So just helping our team to be a little bit more focused. I appreciate you guys' hard work. Joey, anything else on the agency's report?
I think just one item left is the submerge, the designation of submerged property for commercial use. We reviewed everything that has transpired already, although the information gathering from the public hearings and all that stuff hasn't been presented to the board yet. We will package everything together and we'll try to get it out in July, and we'll still continue to move forward in that process. But aside from that also, we need to prepare a determination of need. Again, and we will do it broad, just like how the public hearing was conducted. It wasn't restricted to a specific area on a Lupang Cove or anything like that, but submerged property in general, in order for us to commercially lease or to execute a commercial lease over 5 years. So we'll do the process we're taking now for the 4 properties that have been designated for commercial use. We'll pick up where we left off for submerge and carry forward in the same process.
So, so that'll be brought up in our next commission meeting?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you need more time, just please let us know, right? But I think it's time that if we can pick up where we left off, let's do it.
Okay.
So, okay, the last thing I wanted to ask our commissioners, actually, sorry, anything else on your agency's side, Ms. Camacho?
At this time, nothing. No more.
Okay, okay, all right. So we'll go ahead and just kind of wrap up with the commissioner's comments, unless there's anything else you guys want to.
Yes, sometimes when we have our regular meetings, it's good to give us an update on what transpired, you know, when people come in and state what they want to know, or even like leases.
Duly noted. We'll.
And, you know, like for example, the submerged land in Talaita. What's the update on that guy, person's license renewal?
This is the Tata one?
Yeah.
The Tata license extension has been already approved by the board. It's been signed by the chairman and the representative from Tata, so that has been forwarded to Tata. We forwarded a copy to Tata. We also have the original. Since you mentioned that, the other update is KM Broadcasting, which was approved by the board also. We've prepared the license extension. It was reviewed by Attorney Toff and approved. We forward that already to the representative for KM Broadcasting, so he can sign and get it notarized. And when we receive the original, we'll contact the chairman to have him also sign and notarize the document.
What about Guam Racing Federation?
As we mentioned earlier, Guam Racing Federation has submitted some documents. Unfortunately, we need the initial topographic survey map to ascertain the amount of material that was taken out versus the amount of money that we received. And which one? The survey? There was supposed to be one that has been done already. That was the agreement prior to the authorization to commence the extracting activities. Unfortunately, like I said, the survey guys nor myself have a copy of the initial topographic survey, but we did request a copy from Mr. Simpson. Until such time we receive that, the guys won't be able to start to calculate and plot and do all that great stuff that they do.
So you don't have the one from Mr. Simpson?
The initial we don't have, but we requested a copy.
Wouldn't land management have that?
No, ma'am. That's the responsibility of Mr. Simpson to conduct a topographic survey. That was one of the conditions that he complete one prior to and at the ending of his mineral extraction activity.
So this is brought up under old business, and so we can't really do much for him unless he comes up.
Exactly. Yeah, so there's a lot of other items, right? But these are some of the things that we would like to ensure that, we have those audits and cross-referencing.
And that's one reason too that we haven't presented a full report yet on Mr. Simpson. We want to be able to provide one complete report that it will entail the increase of the mineral extraction per cubic yard rate, whether he is within phase 5A, and all that other stuff that's still pending. One thing that I did forget to mention is that we will be sending Mr. Simpson a letter regarding the admission fees. From our understanding, just through the internet, Googling it through the internet, there have been some activities, whether it's drag racing or drifting or things of that nature. And the commission is, by statute in law, supposed to receive 10% of any admission fees. So that's another thing that we're going after. I don't mean to break away from Guam Racing, but we're also going to send AT&T a letter. AT&T does have cable lines running out of Guam, and AT&T has a lease with the Guam Ancestral Commission, the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. So we will be sending them a letter concerning the rental fee or the rental rates for the use of the submerged lands.
That's why it's important for us to continue the process of our submerged land, the deeming of those lands as for commercial use, so that we can have them.
And I apologize. One more thing is, we are also going to conduct a site inspection on the Med Farm in Derrida. From a aerial perspective, Med Farm is encroaching into CHamoru Land Trust property. And if that's the case, then, we need to address that right away also. It's one of our top priorities is to increase the revenue generating for the commission. So, Med Farm, I believe, or the old Bank of Hawaii property, or the old Bank of Hawaii building.
It's the American Bakery,
Yeah, I believe it's next to American, or Guam Bakery. Yeah, so, aside from all that we do for our residential and agriculture constituents, we are also addressing the possibility of commercial activity on our property without proper authorization and things of that nature.
That's great, and that's kind of where Joey all ties to, right? Is where we stand, how do we get to stand up the compliance side, right? That includes maybe part of survey, part of land agents, half their roles, however you guys deem that. But that's why it's important to have that, and I know, again, the struggles that we have today, but I think it's still something to think of the forefront when we start thinking of, some of the movement or where we put some of the compliance efforts in.
Just to touch on the compliance section, we do have a compliance team that is made up of myself, the lead land agent, and Mr. Pierce from Survey. So we've already formed a compliance team. Unfortunately, our compliance team is reactive in the residential and agriculture because of the amount of leases we have, but we are proactive in the commercial leasing. And it's just, we do as much as we can, given the time we have and all the other tasks that we have to complete. But we are on top of compliance also.
Great. Okay, any other questions or comments from our commissioners?
And Joey has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think, everyone's doing a great job. I think we've definitely seen a lot of progress that's been made, and I know Mr. Top, a lot of things come on your, across your table, so I appreciate your support for the staff as well. So, I think the final piece I wanted to ask the commissioners is that in July, there's 5 Thursdays. So if our commissioners are open to have 2 meetings, I think one of them we can focus on, heavy residential, things that we want to discuss or take action on, right? Which will allow our land agents to maybe accelerate the residential stuff and have it at the end of the month. And then in the July 15, which is the 3rd Thursday, we can focus on some of the open items. And again, the meetings don't have to be long, but if we need to action some things, right, we could have 2 meetings. But I just wanted to put it out there, and we can always decide whether or not we will have that based on timing, right? So, Joey?
If possible, if you're planning any additional meetings or anything that requires a board meeting, if we can project, only because we're also in the process of conducting our projections, dealing with our finances. Because we've already sent out or we've already had purchase orders that, because we were under the assumption that there will be just 12 meetings in the year, and, you know, we budget for all those things. So if there's any increase in board meetings or any, just board meetings in itself, there's gonna be, it will be required that we do some allotment modifications. We move money around.
We only get paid once a month. You can have two.
That's fine. We just need to know so we can plan properly, and we can ensure that there is sufficient funding in that object class to ensure that you get paid and our vendors get paid.
Understood, and what we'll do is we'll recess versus, having two separate lines, is that right? Just to, again, making sure that we're within.
Even if you recess, you will be paid for the second meeting.
Really?
Yes. And also the newly enacted law, I forget the number, but now we're required to place the agenda on the ad. So that's gonna be another increase in what? Increase in size and increase in expenses, so.
Duly noted, so July we'll have one meeting.
Yes.
I'll be off island after the 21st.
Okay, all right, so we'll stick to the one meeting, I just, yeah, we'll go from there. Yeah, okay.
Vacation.
All right, any other questions?
Joey needs an assistant.
We're working on it.
Our team here, sir, I believe we're 11 strong. We do everything we can within the time frame that we have from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I can tell you that we're all overwhelmed, but who isn't, right? But we will get the work done. May not be in a timely fashion that the board may like. It may be a week or two later, but eventually we will get the work done. And, this is a team effort, and we all do what we're supposed to do. We fill the voids, not I, but we all do. We try our best to help one another out. Like any workplace, there's differences, but at the end, we will produce.
No, understood, and it's greatly appreciated, and again, the key thing is as long as there's a lot of collaboration and synergy, we can move mountains here, so I appreciate that. Okay, all right, without any other questions, the time is 5:07. May I get a motion to adjourn?
I'd just like to make a little comment about the public hearing on Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah, you know how we had that discussion about whether we were gonna go without any, but if nobody showed up, then we were just gonna cut it after an hour or so, but whatever we publish, in any other meeting, they always go through the time, and if it's